It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. This is your captain speaking. We've got some really rough turbulence coming up ahead, so strap yourselves in. It is Friday, the 11th day of January, 2013. You can see the shirt I'm wearing. Come and take it, a variant of the famous Texas saying that started the Texas Revolution for independence against Santa Anna when he came to confiscate the guns. And in Gonzales, Texas, they hoisted up a flag with a cannon as the symbol and one white star saying, come and take it. And then inside of the T-shirt I'm wearing is a AK-47, and it says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We just put this T-shirt up for sale. I'm not starting the broadcast with a plug here for a product. I mean, I guess I am, but I was just looking at the shirt that I was wearing this morning and thought that I should mention it's now the best seller we've ever had of T-shirts. Only been selling for about a week and is set to sell out very soon, but never fear, we're getting more printed right here in the good old USA. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and infringed is the barrel of the rifle. Come and take it. And that's what I told Piers Morgan on Monday. Now, again, I don't get sick very often, but I do get allergies every year during the cedar season. It's not really Caesar, it's a mountain juniper. And I get sore throats from it, so I've ignored for 2.5 weeks a really bad sore throat until I finally got a fever 2 nights ago. My wife said, no, you're sick, you're wheezing, something's wrong. So I went to the doctor, and they did the swabs and the checks, and the physician's assistant that came in and did most of the work was a Afghanistan veteran, a big listener. He'd talk about how they were in Afghanistan, would listen to the show, and how he was about to go back to be a medic over there. They did the swab and the check. I have bacterial infection and bronchitis going into pneumonia. Now, the reason I mention that is that I've been kind of in a fog the last week or so and could barely breathe when I was in New York, so I really couldn't decide deep down whether I was just telling myself I did a good job when some people were saying I did a bad job, or whether it was because I was sick and just couldn't basically analyze and make the right decision, because usually I'm very clear on things. But they put me on some powerful antibiotics and an inhaler yesterday. And I'm all for antibiotics if they're not overused. Problem is everybody overuses them. I haven't had antibiotics in about 4 years since I was Bilderberg 4 years ago, since I cut my leg in D.C. and it got infected. And then that time I waited too long until it was all rotting inside, and they did x-rays of that and said, look at this. If this would have gone another week, you might have lost your leg. I had like 2 different types of bacteria, one of them flesh-eating inside my leg. But again, that itself is a side issue. I immediately, when I started taking antibiotics yesterday afternoon and got on the inhaler and also took some of the decongestant cough syrup they gave me, and the nasal spray. The guy said, you need all of this. I'm surprised you're up walking around. Of course, they always say that, but I actually wasn't walking around some of the time when I was in New York. I was laying there in a bed getting ready to go on Piers Morgan. I couldn't tell, hey, I thought I did a good job, but maybe it's because I'm sick. Maybe my head isn't clear. This morning, I woke up feeling like 80% better, 80% better, and just absolutely was clear that I did a darn good job. But within the response that I saw from maybe 20, 30% of people, negative, I really got a window into the mindset that we have entered in this society. So I want to talk about that when we come back here today. We got a bunch of clips I didn't get to yesterday and a bunch of new ones. Piers Morgan is really getting his butt handed to him. He had Ben Shapiro of Breitbart.com on. And he just said, look, you're a big bully using the deaths of those children to try to disarm us. And he's absolutely right. But they are coming for the guns. We got some really important news on that front. Stay with us. I am your host, Alex Jones. It is Friday, the 11th day of January 2013. And we are broadcasting worldwide, not just here in the United States, but beaming out on global shortwave WWCR, 100,000 watts, the internet at Infowars.com, the audio streams and video streams at prisonplanet.tv, XM 166, and over 140 AM and FM affiliates here in the United States. Okay, here's what's coming up. Eric Mancow Muller is going to be popping in about 30 minutes to give us his take on the all-out gun grab going on. Joel Skousen will pop in the last hour for 30 minutes because I wanted to get his take on the EU ministers. And I wanted this take a few weeks ago, but will you guys reprint me those articles dealing with EU ministers want to merge with Russia, and also the reports about the communist Chinese government saying they want our guns and things. I want to ask him how his view geopolitically, how that fits into the UN gun treaty, and why they're pushing for victim disarmament so hard right now. They even started before the Sandy Hook tragedy. So that's coming up today. Obviously, we're going to have open phones as well once I start giving the phone number out and go over a plethora of news articles that are up at Infowars.com right now. British host Piers Morgan calls the U.S. Constitution your little book and belittles the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Nanny Bloomberg strikes again, outlaws painkillers in hospitals. So soda drinks, popcorn, milk products. He's talking about outright bans on cigarettes, you name it. It's all about control. But he's also going to make you live in 250-square-foot apartments, but he won't live in one. He'll live in a 15,000-foot penthouse, square-foot penthouse. Obama signs a bill giving him armed protection for life. Amazing. Also, nationwide ammo shortage so severe that even cops can't buy bullets. Ammo rationing imminent. That's one reason they might have bought $1.6 billion plus the last 14 months, is to create such a crisis they can nationalize ammo manufacturing, and there's even some discussion of that. That's when governments usually do that, is in government shortages of, quote, essential material or products. That's in executive orders, by the way, already on the books. It's unconstitutional, but that never stops them. Sandy Hook massacre timeline, very important new video report out from Rob Dube. They're also hyping severe flu reaches epidemic proportions. That's actually not true. There's a lot of stuff going around this year, though. That is certainly true. I mean, I know more people that have been sick than I've seen in a long time. So I will tell you that the flu itself is hype, but these bacterial infections, the respiratory stuff, all the stuff being sprayed in the air, China has totally industrialized and has dirty industries. Their rivers every week or two set on fire. They make our industrial revolution look clean. And the jet stream dumps in all over the United States, but predominantly from Texas right up to the Midwest. It comes in for more than 30,000 feet and dumps into 1,000 feet. That's why when the EPA goes out and does particulate measurements and says, oh my gosh, the air's so dirty. Yeah, they've tested it. The scientists have gone and checked it in China. You can pull all this up. It's well known. It's mainly Chinese and Indian and Pakistani, you name it. I mean, incredibly dirty industries there. And the jet stream goes low on the other side of the world, right over those areas. Bad luck for us, the way God designed it. And then comes across. It's just like with the Fukushima why it came over here. The trade winds are lower, also comes through those. The general prevailing winds go, in some cases, at 125 miles an hour in the jet stream. That's why when you're in a jet going with the jet stream, the jet stream was going really fast when I flew to New York. 3 hours. Normally takes 3.5 with the normal jet stream. But the pilot talked about how fast the jet stream was, up over 125 miles an hour. And so we got there in right under 3 hours. Now coming back, over 4 hours. Because you're going into the jet stream. And I'm already ranting about that. The point is that we have toxic waste raining down on us, and they're busy trying to tax people and make you have low flush toilets and mercury-filled light bulbs and taxes on carbon dioxide, UXL, and cows' methane flatulence, when there's always been bovine animals running around passing gas. They don't want to go after any of the real environmental crises. They want to go after a bunch of stuff where they can tax everybody and continue all their GMO, genetic engineering, the rest of it. So we're going to be looking at the flu situation some as well today. If you go to Infowars.com, you see what I think is the most important story of the day. Obama signs bill giving himself armed protection for life. It's also, at least last time I checked 15 minutes ago, the top middle story at drudgereport.com, so you can't miss it there, with images of Obama and his Secret Service above it, getting off Air Force One. And he is expanding more armed protection. Because presidents already have that, but now he's expanding. He signed a bill to give even more armed protection, despite launching a gun control agenda that threatens to disarm the American people. President Obama has signed a bill that would afford him armed Secret Service protection for life. The legislation, crafted by Republican Representative Trey Gowdy of South Carolina, rolls back the 1990s law that imposed a 10-year limit on Secret Service protection for former presidents. Bush's would have been the former commander-in-chief affected, reports Yahoo News. But they can always use any threats once a year to keep Secret Service protection on the president. I know, because I've seen them mention that in the news, that, well, you know, as long as there's ongoing investigations, one a year of threats to former presidents, they still get the guards. So they still have them. In fact, we had Secret Service here a few weeks ago dealing with something concerning a former Bush. Not with us, but with some idiot making a comment. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to even get into it. The point is that that's how they keep it open. But now it doesn't matter. They just get taxpayer paid for millions of dollars a year, 24 hours a day, multiple armed guards. The new bill, which will cost American taxpayers millions of dollars, is a reinstatement of that 65 law, which will see presidents protected for life as well as their children up to age 16. The irony of Obama seeking to surround himself with armed men for the rest of his life while simultaneously working to disarm the American people via gun control agenda that is likely to be enforced via executive decree represents the height of hypocrisy. But it's not the first time Obama has lauded the notion of responsible Americans using firearms to protect himself and his family while concurrently eviscerating the very same right of American people. During an ABC Nightline interview broadcast on December 26, yet recorded before the Sandy Hook shooting, Obama said one of the benefits of his reelection was the ability to have men with guns around at all times. And we have a link to that video right there. But we ought to get that video, guys. In order to protect his daughters, we ought to have that along with Feinstein admitting she has armed guards and a concealed carry, but we shouldn't be able to own a gun. Mr. and Mrs. America, turn your guns in. In addition, the school attended by Obama's daughters in Washington, D.C. has no less than 11 armed security guards on duty at all times. Yet the idea of arming teachers and school officials to prevent school massacres has been dismissed by gun control advocates, their slave master advocates, who want school campuses to remain gun-free zones where victims are disarmed and shooters are free to carry out their rampage unimpeded. The hypocrisy of gun control advocates who feverishly work to create victim disarmament yet surround themselves with armed men in rampant amongst the political class. As reported last month, despite the same year calling for Mr. and Mrs. America to turn in their guns, California Senator Dianne Feinstein authored a draconian bill set to be introduced later this month that would treat gun owners like sex offenders admitted to carrying a concealed weapon for her own protection after she was threatened by a terrorist group. She's actually already introduced the bill, but he was linking to a clip where she said she'd introduce it. Other prominent gun control advocates, such as Mayor Michael Bloomberg, have also aggressively pushed to disarm Americans while themselves employing armed bodyguards at all times. Michael Moore, another vehement proponent of gun control, also has armed bodyguards, one of whom was arrested for carrying an unlicensed weapon in the New York JFK airport in 2005. His guns are banned there unless you get a license, which is like finding a holy grail inside a unicorn's nose. A White House petition created at the end of last month calls for making the White House and all federal buildings gun-free zones. If the government believes gun-free zones are the solution for citizens, the same standard should apply to government servants and employees, states the petition, which currently has over 12,000 signatures. So there is the report at Infowars.com and DrudgeReport.com right in the middle top column. I suggest that everyone Go out and get that article at Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, DrudgeReport.com. You have no excuse. I know you already know the hypocrisy. You already know it. That doesn't mean your neighbor knows it. It doesn't mean your boss knows it. It doesn't mean your employees know it. It doesn't mean your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your wife, your husband knows it. It doesn't mean the police chief knows it. And by the way, this morning I'm watching Fox News, and I was just going off violent crime general statistics, and I'm watching Fox News on the morning show, and one of the hosts is debating Stromboli, that's how I remember his name, Geraldo Rivera. And Rivera is saying, we need to restrict guns, basically agreeing with the owner of News Corps, let's ban them, basically. And the other host was putting up FBI statistics off the same FBI.gov that I hadn't seen. And I'll be honest with you. I just said 21% because that's what it showed over the last 15 years. 11 to 12% of it, depending on how you look at the graph, the last 5 or 6 since 2007. I guess that's 6, roughly. And I'm looking at it, and they were going 49% drop in violent crime. He was showing all these incredible numbers. So I grabbed my iPad, and I went and searched it, and there were all these other breakdowns, and I'm wrong. It was, I can't believe it, it's true. Crime with guns in the commission of crimes has dropped 49%. And by the way, I want to do a report on that tonight. I know a lot of you were watching Fox News this morning. You had to see it too. Again, there I am again. People think I exaggerate. It's better than I even said. That's why oh, man. All right, Alex Jones here, back live. Mancow, Eric Muller's joining us, and then we'll have open phones, and we have another guest popping in. A lot of clips, a lot of key news today. All right, so here's my bottom line on what happened with Piers Morgan. My original gut statement that I think it was overall positive. Obviously, I could have done a better job. I could have made a few of the points a little more fluidly, but in the moment, in the adrenaline, and also now knowing that I had bronchitis, the beginnings of pneumonia, I think I did a pretty good job. And Rob Duke can vouch for this. I was hacking and coughing so hard I could hardly breathe. But as soon as I went in there, they were asking, are you okay? Are you okay? Here, have some tea. You're going to be able to go on air. And the producers can vouch for that. I may have overcompensated because I just absolutely felt horrible. That Sunday going into that Monday, my wife is like, you shouldn't even go. She said, you're like turning blue. Turns out there's a lot of this really bad bacteria going around the country. They're hyping up the flu, but that's not it so much. But I've got to say, now that I've gotten a lot better and feel good, and I've kind of got that more crystal clear thought process, looking back on what happened with Piers Morgan, I think the hand of God was on it again. And I don't spin things to myself. I'm my own worst critic. And when I do things wrong, I'll say it on air. There was an initial, even with my dad, my mother, and others, an initial, man, you came off as really angry and in his face. Wouldn't it have been better if you'd been a little smoother? You made some good points. It was very entertaining. But then they said, like a day later, we should be angry about this. And that's what people on the street have told me. I was downtown last night and this morning. That's what people everywhere, crew here, everyone has told me that, you know what, they are coming after our guns. And they're lying about the fact that they want our guns. And I'm angry about that fact. And I'm angry about everything else they're doing. And I'm glad you didn't just sit there and take that arrogant guy that even Larry King has now come out against. The guest last night called him a bully, who was on there, who's using the death of those children. And I didn't intend to make that point. It was in my notes, but I never got to that. They're the ones exploiting it. And it's that thing of, we don't want your guns, we want reasonable restrictions. I saw a LA Times article this morning attacking myself and showing me as a giant, fat Michael Moore type holding an M16. And they said, these people won't be reasonable and realize we don't want to take their guns, we just want reasonable restrictions. And I'm like, really? The bill introduced by Dianne Feinstein says they can make you turn them in and makes everything else they say you can keep registered. All over the world, they end up taking the guns. The Attorney General, when he was Deputy Attorney General, wrote public statements saying, I want total gun ban. Obama has said it. The UN has said it. They've all stated it. You know it. You've heard Feinstein say, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them in. We know the goal. And it's insulting that they claim they care about 20 dead kids. It's about dominance and only government having power. And that's why I blew up, because I'm done. Patty caking, debating them in a nice way They try to set the agenda and say, it's discrediting to get angry. Don't do that. It's kooky. They say wanting to have a family is kooky. They say wanting to own a gun is kooky. When Larry Pratt goes on and talks totally calm, they say he's a kook, he's a weirdo, he's a nut. They are all about setting the parameters like they're the boss and they decide what's kosher, they decide what's okay. The system sets the parameters, they set the rules. They put themselves in the position of authority in a big fancy set in a rotting CNN headquarters and sit there and tell you they're in control and the emperor is wearing a beautiful cloak. I call baloney. I say you're butt naked. And it just comes down to that. And I'll tell you, you've seen me on many other national TV shows, C-SPAN, you name it. My wife's like, why weren't you like when you were on C-SPAN? Or on The View, you took over, but you were charming and focused and made all your points. You know, why did you blow up? And I said, I think it's because I was sick. And he just made me mad. And then I'm like, last night, I'm like, God, did I do the right thing? And I went to sleep, and I woke up this morning, and it was all just crystal clear. And I already knew, even though I'd been sick and feeling out of it and couldn't really, maybe I did do it wrong. That's them playing mind games with us. That's them when you watch these people, they're talking to you like you're a person who's been hypnotized. They're talking to you like you're fully under their control, and they are the bosses. That's what they're doing. They are setting the parameter like they are in control of everything. And notice they always tell you, don't get upset, don't get angry. But when you see the governor in New York saying, let's ban the semi-autos, he's yelling and screaming and hyping up his troops. Imagine if he told a football coach, because the whole world is a battle. Football's a battle. Business is a battle. Raising your kids is a battle. And you've got to decide you want to win the war. And win the war means raising them straight and strong and living in a free country. They always are charging in. They've always got the force. They're always trying to hype themselves up. But then they tell you, oh, no, be passive, be nice, sit down, go along with us. No, don't get upset. Sit down, don't stand up, don't stand up. It's all a mind game. You've got to get mad. You've got to get angry and realize they're a bunch of criminals lying to you, and you need to get angry about the fact that they're a bunch of scammers. They're afraid of you. And that's what it comes down to. I know you can see me. I see you. Piers Morgan, Dianne Feinstein, Barack Obama, Eric Holder. They're all on record saying we shouldn't own any guns. Now they want to have this debate and say, no, we just want reasonable restrictions. Here's the LA Times today, if you're a PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. Alex Jones and other pro-gun paranoids put the nuts in gun nuts. And then they show a fat guy with an M16 with a rebel flag on his head. That's their image. That's what Piers Morgan calls Americans dumb and stupid. He says, I'm British, I've come to conquer America. That's in his tweets. And they go on to say, Jones is insane. He thinks we want to disarm and take the guns. They're crazy. I have Jon Stewart saying, we're crazy, no one wants to take our guns. In fact, we'll play that clip coming up later with Mancow of Mancow.com, syndicated radio host, to get his take on this. Because I was on his show yesterday and asked his take, and he thought it was a big victory. I was a little bit under the weather, a lot better today, and I could really sit back this morning and look at it. And the fact that I blew up at him, which I wasn't really intending to do, got people out of their trance. Billy Corgan sent me a text and that night and said, you helped break the hypnosis. And he's a really smart guy. And that's why it resonated with so many people. I got sent emails by psychologists and advertising people that I know saying, no, this is really good. The reason the producer was crying, the reason they panicked and kicked you off the show, the reason they were so scared is because if we ever stop letting them be in the position of authority over us, and they're like, you're going to be calm, you're going to be nice, you're going to shut up, you're going to go along with this, and if we ever break through that and go, you're a bunch of con artists. You're telling me I'm crazy in the LA Times, and you're telling me I'm crazy on The Daily Show. We have the clips. Nobody's coming for your guns, crazy man. Don't get upset. Don't get upset. They say it's crazy to get upset because that's where they don't want you to go. They want to just, people keep saying, what does it take to get America angry? What is it we won't take with the TSA sticking their hands on our pants and the warrantless wiretapping and the checkpoints and the open borders? And they just raised taxes again and lied to us about it. 77% of America's massive tax increases when they lied and said they wouldn't. I was sitting there at the doctor yesterday watching for like an hour. All these people come up and go, well, why has my money doubled? It used to only be $100 when I came to the doctor. Why is it $200 now? Why is my medicine so much more? And they'd go, these are the changes. We're sorry, it's the insurance company. Next woman comes up, all with the same chest cold I've got, all with the same pneumonia-type symptoms. And I'm sitting there for an hour wanting to get into the doctor, an hour, watching a packed big clinic, every person going up and paying, because they had a pharmacy in there too. I'm watching the pharmacy, I'm watching the two lines, and they're all complaining, why has it gotten so much more? Well, I already knew the insurance companies wrote the health care bill. You're like, what's that to do with guns? Everything. They wrote it to double they've now announced, that's the headlines, USA Today, AP, Reuters. In fact, put it up, guys. Premiums set to double in 2013. Now they have now doubled. Doubled. Oh, you got a discount. You got a free ride. And now it does have death panels. Remember, oh, these people are crazy. There's no death panels. Now they're like Newsweek, Time, Reuters. We need death panels. Slate Magazine, the case for death panels. The case for killing Granny. Death panels, death panels. You know what? I'm sick of you. I read the stinking bill. I knew it was going to rip everybody off. I knew it set up death panels. And you know what? I can't hold it in anymore. Yeah, Obamacare set to double premiums. That's Fox News. That's from last year. The new one, it's now doubling. USA Today last week, they're now doubling. And these people are like, why? Griping out the nurses. And they're going, look, it's your insurance company. It's the new act. That's why these companies are going out of business. Doctors are retiring because it's a scam. I'm sorry, Mancow's on hold. My point is, that's why I got mad. Because I was up there sick on the air, and I can't put up with the crap anymore. You know what? I'm glad I went to New York sick, and I'm glad I blew up now, because we need to blow up. They're like, oh, you're a kook because you blew up. You discredited, and we believe their mind game. Oh, my gosh, I got mad. I'm a kook. Our founding fathers killed people that tried to take their guns. Our founding fathers rode around on horses saying, get your guns, prepare for war, they're coming. I'm not saying that. I'm a wimp. Paul Revere would walk up and say, coward. Boom, slapped me upside the head. George Washington saddled up with weapons and went up against the biggest army the world ever seen, undefeated. 10-1, 15-1 some battles. Imagine Americans today. And I had a huge, I'm going to Mancow. I had a huge epiphany today that, my gosh, look what we've become. This is an example of how pathetic we've gotten. Some foreign usurper pig in our country and all these other foreign globalists on purpose getting us used to being told what to do and lectured to. When the crime rate has dropped 49% with firearms, 21% total all violent crime in the last 15 years. People are like, I thought you said it was 21. That was overall violent crime. I was watching Fox. They had the FBI statistics up this morning. I couldn't believe they told the truth, but still Geraldo said take the guns, that it was 49%. It was bad. There's thousands of pages at FBI.gov. I didn't even read, but, you know, a few hundred. I'm sorry, Mancow, thank you for joining us, sir. I know you're a busy guy here. Syndicated radio host. We're on a lot of the same stations. We're on the same station there together in Chicago. What is it, 1530? Mancow, you just heard my rant, my epiphany. Do you agree with it? What do you want to add? What do you think about what happened?
Well, look, brother, you and I are both alpha males. I think people need to know that, first of all, you have a great sense of humor. You really are a very funny guy, and you're having fun. You're enjoying this. You enjoy the fight. And I don't know that the lefties get that. I can go on and on. Look, I have all these politicians on. You do too. And they say, well, do you need a machine gun to hunt deer? Do you need a handgun to hunt a deer? No, it's not about hunting. It's about protection from you people. And, boy, they're really, I mean, you know, the Constitution be damned, the Second Amendment be damned. There's no laws for this president. It's really something. Look, here was my take, and I know you don't agree with me totally. Okay? Can I give my take? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm standing in the middle of the city of Chicago, and, okay. Listen, folks. You have to understand something. You know, land of the free, land of the free. If you say it enough, well, it must be true. But we know the laws, every day new laws. But, you know, just because you say something doesn't mean it's true. It's brainwashing. The fact is that Piers Morgan in 2013 is insignificant. I have more people on my little radio show, and Alex has more people on his radio show. You know, more people are listening right now and paying attention to Alex than will be part of Piers Morgan. If you read Drudge, you saw the hell that this man went through, and I've gone through, and most of you people have gone through when he went through the airport. Take off your shoes, jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton, yelled at, hassled, harassed. My family's been fighting the flu. I'm sure many people listening have been fighting the flu. So here is Alex fighting the flu, going through the TSA. They're hassling him. He's sick. Boy, flying is awful. Travel is awful when you're sick. Here is Piers Morgan, insignificant, really insignificant, and a complete failure for CNN. The ratings are a disaster. As awful as the troll Larry King was, and I worked for Larry King. I like Larry, but come on. Way past his prime 20 years ago. As awful as Larry King was, Piers Morgan, if it's possible, is doing even worse. So he's insignificant. Now, Alex, am I going on too long? Can I
No, go. I'm listening. This is great.
Mentally challenged people. I mean, people out of the asylum that fall in love with me or Alex or, you know, a TV star or whatever. People that have mental problems or don't think they're sufficient enough mentally will remember some obscure fact to prove that they're smart, kind of like Rain Man. I'm not insulting people with mental illness. But what Piers Morgan did is he remembered how many people were killed in England. How many people were killed in England? How many people were killed in England? So he didn't hear anything Alex said. He was getting his ass handed to him. And how many people were killed in England? And Alex rolled over him like a steamroller. He's a much more powerful presence. I've been around Piers Morgan. I've been around Alex. Alex dominates. Piers is not an alpha male. Alex is an alpha male. He's a man. I know we've forgotten what that is. I know African Americans are encouraged to be tough, watch the rap videos, and white guys are supposed to be little mealy-mouthed men without opinion. Turn on the TV. It's just the way our culture is right now, and I don't like it. Anyway, so, you know, how many people were killed in Britain? Oh, you don't know? You see, folks, I'm smarter than him. And look, I rope-a-dope, too. I do interviews every day. Alex does interviews. Alex knows what the setup is. You come up with some obscure fact. They don't know it. So you're smarter as the host, and you go to commercial. Alex knew as soon as he couldn't answer it, because who gives a hairy rat's ass how many people were killed in England? We're talking about America. They're trying to take our guns in America. So rather than be run roughshod and cut to commercial and Alex looks stupid, he didn't answer it. He didn't jump in the snare to get trapped. He didn't walk over the leafy path to fall onto the bungee stakes. And I think what you did, Alex, was absolutely brilliant. Who cares? The only reason anybody's talking about the show is because you were on there. I don't watch Piers Morgan. I watch because my buddy was on there.
By the way, did you know their ratings just came out? Anybody can look up TV ratings. Just type it in. It's all there. The ratings went from about 500,000 a night to 870-something thousand the night I was on, and then over 1 million the next night. Now they're already going back down. That ought to tell those idiots something. No one wants to watch them.
Yeah.
It's only when we go on those shows.
You know, why not? Look, these people are propagandists. They're prostitutes. They are the mouthpiece of government, CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC. So why play their games? And I think Alex just had a ball. I mean, that really was my take watching it. My wife said, oh, did you think he went too far? For what? For nobody watching? Nobody cares.
The only reason they watched is because
Alex is sick. He got hassled by the TSA. It was all over Drudge. It was the most downloaded story on Drudge. You went through hell to get there. They're hassling you. The cops are coming out of the woodwork in New York. And you know, enough is enough. You're an idiot. You're not an American. You want to take my guns. Go to hell. And I thought part of it was done tongue-in-cheek. And I had a ball with it. So I thought, and you know what? It was great TV. How about that? No matter what you think, no matter what your opinion is, it was entertaining as hell.
Sure.
Isn't that supposed to be a rule on these shows? At least be entertaining? The show's so damn boring.
Well, let me raise this point. They're always telling us, be calm, be calm, be calm, because they know that it's when you get active that you're able to take action. I've been watching, and I'm putting a piece together on this, a bunch of different Democratic political rallies with Feinstein, Cuomo, and all of them, and I'm going to play a clip of Cuomo here in a moment, the governor of New York. they are really yelling and screaming. But, oh, that's normal when they do that.
Yeah.
Or when Piers Morgan has a guest on getting all hyped up, shaking their fists, saying, let's shoot Alex Jones.
Yeah,
that's cute and funny. But it's radical when I say, hey, you want my guns? And they try this lie. One reason I blew up was this thing of, I don't want your guns. I mean, the guy's on record saying we shouldn't own any guns. And their bills will take almost all the guns. So I'm tired of them lying to their audience. But
right.
I'm going to play this Como clip. But first, what is your take on this attempt to tell us we shouldn't get upset? I've actually found...
Alex, can I say something about that?
Yes.
You know, folks, look, first of all, we should be upset. But I don't think you're... Alex, you're not... I've been out with you. It is not... It's not anger. I mean, you look, you get angry, you get happy. I understand that. But what happened with passion? Why can't we care? Why can't we care that our country's being destroyed? Alex, can I say one more thing, totally off the subject?
Sure.
I hate when people do this. I know you will, too. Can I say something?
Whatever you want, Mancow. Quit asking.
Every successful person I know, everybody that works for a living, okay, half the country isn't paying in. So, those of you that are getting a free ride, you won't understand what I'm talking about. But anybody that's listening that has people, anyone that works is going to know what I'm saying. I found it so interesting all over Chicago. Everybody is walking around going, I got less money. And they're going to their bosses saying, hey, you goofed up. There's less money in my paycheck. Are you going to compensate me? No. Did you vote for Obama? There you go. You get to buy cell phones for everybody in the ghetto. You get to pay to arm Libya. You get to buy 200 tanks for Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood. They always like to bring up teachers. Whenever they talk about gun control, it's muskets. Well, they were talking about muskets. And whenever they talk about how they want to steal more money from us in taxes, they always bring up teachers. And I like to bring up, well, how about the fact that we're arming the Muslim Brotherhood and some of the other nonsense that we're paying for? So I just love all these brain-dead morons that weren't paying attention. And you and I told them, canaries in the coal mine. We told them, and everybody's walking around going, where'd all my money go?
No. I'm hearing the same thing.
You're not going to leave anything for your kids because they're going to take it all now. I mean, it's just people get what they deserve with this guy. I mean, why isn't everybody angry?
Well, that's what I was mentioning at the doctor's office yesterday. Yeah. Literally,
and I wanted to tie into it. It was stuck in my crawl, and I wanted to get that out. So
but listen, they're not even going to know.
Check. And by the way, this is only the beginning. It's 3% for everybody because of Social Security. They're taking more. By the way, guys like us, we're not going to see any of that money anyway. Alex, you and I are too young. We'll never see Social Security. And it's for the Obama voters. They got their phone, their new shoes. We know that welfare is being spent in strip clubs and liquor stores. That's where it goes. And you and I will just keep working harder. It's our kids have to do without. So that half the people can sit around on their fat asses. And by the way, when they're sick and diabetic and need a foot lopped off, I guess I'll pay for that too. It is, it's just repulsive.
I saw an article in the Chicago Tribune that had a straight face, and it was an illegal alien who was given by the government a free kidney. And he said, this isn't enough. I deserve more, and I want you to give free health care to all the other immigrants who already get it. And the article was like, you're right. We need to do more for you. They're just, and we're not supposed to get upset. Oh, no, don't be extreme. It's not extreme to give an illegal alien a free kidney when citizens go without. But, and that's what's amazing is I literally watched, no exaggeration, 15 people at least. And I almost started videotaping it, but I didn't want to be rude. At the doctor's office going, well, why is it more money? Why is my insurance more? Why is the deductible more? Why does everything cost more? Why? And I started telling them, though, I said, hey, lady, it's Obamacare. And the woman started arguing with me. One lady said, no, it's true, but it's a fact, and it's the same thing. The average paycheck in America gets $200 taken out of it every month just for the 3.8%. And now they've got all these other taxes in there. And these people are so dumb as they lose their jobs because some of the oldest companies in America leave or shut down. They're going to go get on food stamps and be even bigger supporters. I mean, how do you stop something that stupid?
Alex, brother, we are going to be nickel and dime to death. Where it was a quarter in the parking meter. Listen to this. Where I do my radio TV.
$6 now.
It was a quarter an hour 5 years ago. 25 cents. It's $6.50 now. Welcome to liberalism. And oh, by the way, if you want to come to my city of Chicago, where you cannot have a gun, 532 people murdered last year. 532. Less than half will be solved. If you're a new business, you don't have to pay any taxes. I mean, and then so they do tax breaks to get new companies in. Everybody's trying to get the hell out of Dodge. Everybody wants to get out of here. This is what liberalism does. You understand? They jack up the taxes. All the businesses leave like, Gerard Depardieu going to Russia. Everybody wants to get out of America. Anybody that has any money, any company wants to get out of here. So then they're, they offer incentives.
And they're telling us, we're going to break, Mancow. We're going to break.
Programs because the jobs have left. Look at Detroit. Alex, I know I'm sure you talked about this. They're bulldozing Detroit. There's nothing left but rats. And do you know that the liberals are happy because those are green areas?
No. That's USA Today. Yeah, we got to go to break.
Factories. There's nothing left but rats and trash, and the liberals are happy about it because it's a green area.
We're going to have a totally jam-packed next hour with your phone calls and a bunch of new clips today and some other clips I haven't gotten to yet. But Mancow agrees with me that we need to get out of our trance. We certainly know laying down and being passive has gotten us to the point we're here today. And it makes me angry that these poor, sad, most of them working-class people, because I went to a clinic near my office, and it's a working-class area, good people, not an elitist. And it's a good clinic as well. I've been going there when I have to for about 15 years because my dad's friends with the owner, so I know him. And I went, and it's a big clinic, and they were hurting. I mean, there were people in there trying to argue about how much they had to pay, just a couple $100. And it was very reasonably priced compared to most healthcare. I know the numbers. My dad's in healthcare management. And they were sad. And some people came in and talked about the prices and said, listen, I can't pay that. Doctor such and such said no matter what, he'll treat me. And the nurses would be like, okay, we'll get him in. So I was seeing some free health care going on, too. And I was seeing doctors and physician's assistants giving people free samples. And I heard one going, I'm real sorry, we've run out of samples. I can't give you a prescription. That's illegal. They can only give you a sample. America's running on empty, folks. And that's what makes me so mad at Obama and so mad at the globalists. And because their plan is to shut America down. And Romney was their placeholder. The fix was in. It's not that he was good either. It's that we're in trouble. And I know that health care bill is meant to hurt you. I know they want our guns, and they've said they want them. And you bet I get mad. And, yeah, some of it was tongue-in-cheek just because I like to joke around some. But a few times I really was disgusted by Piers Morgan because in person he came off as cold and evil and crusty looking. He looked like a reanimated corpse. And I was talking to Mancow yesterday, Eric Muller, who's with us. He agreed that, he's been around a lot of TV. People have been on Fox for over, 15 years, all over everything else. Got a TV show right now they're piloting nationwide. And he's been around these people. And, selling out to evil, I don't know what they get because Piers Morgan is a nobody. The system tries to prop him up as a somebody, but he's got every TV show in the country promoting him. And I was watching a movie, and they had clips of him in it in CNN. Now, what's the movie? What's it called? Flight? Denzel Washington, the new one? Pretty good movie. I'm ranting, Mancow. We got about 3 minutes till the hour ends. Other points you want to make on where this country's going, how painful it is to see them destroying us on purpose, shutting down our cities, people fleeing California, fleeing Chicago. But when the Democrats and liberals get to Austin, they just do the same thing they always do. I mean, why are they fleeing from themselves, but then doing the same thing once they get here?
You know something, Alex? It's all very predictable. It's Mao's playbook. It's Hitler. It's Pol Pot. It's all these guys. It's Castro. They got to take the guns. This is the final straw. And look, they're not going to let this. It really is. I've got little kids. You've got adorable little kids. The fact that they are using these children, exploiting these children to destroy us, it really is. It is an insidious evil, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I blew up at him. I genuinely, when I said, "Hey, let's have a boxing match," I'll be honest. I was having a instinct to really want to physically deal with him. But you notice the next night, they said they wanted to shoot me. It's that I knew that they want to hurt me. They want my guns because they want to dominate me. And they said that the next night. Did you see that?
Alex, can you imagine going on the radio? Just think about this. Can you imagine going on the radio, sir, and saying, I want to shoot Piers Morgan? Can you imagine? I would never even think of to say something like that.
I wouldn't think of it, and I would be arrested if I did.
Okay? If Rush or anyone else said that, but I mean, my God, if Al Franken said it, it's the funniest thing ever.
Back in 60 seconds. Do 5 more minutes with us. Okay. We'll be right back with Mancow. Mancow.com.
But what do you need a semi-automatic weapon for? The only reason I think you need it is, Pierce, challenge Alex Jones to a boxing match, show up with a semi-automatic that you got legally, and pop him.
I'd love to see that. In uniform.
All right. And he says, yeah, he'll wear his brother's uniform. So Piers Morgan agreeing, dress up in a uniform and kill me. And that's a weird sycophantic thing psychologically. That, oh, as long as he wears a uniform, see, they're the state. It's okay for the state to kill you. This is a cult of miscreants. And a few newspapers picked it up. Drudge picked it up. It became somewhat of a story. But it's like, oh, it's just a joke. We're going to shoot you. But, oh, I was scary because I yelled at him a little bit and said, you will not get our guns. I know it's about disarming us. They hate it when we won't play games with them. Eric, where do you see all this going?
You know, Alex, listen, bud. You and I have a problem. We go out, fisticuffs, it's over. That's the way it used to be. All right? This guy's going to put on a uniform, his brother's uniform, and shoot you with it. I mean, they're so creepy. You're right. I mean, it really is a group of creeps. And Piers Morgan, I love the fact that you have this petition, and of course everybody in England is saying, "Oh, please, we don't want him back." That is America now, right? We're the dumping ground of all the losers. We get all the losers in America. God, if you're a scientist from another country, we don't want you. But are you sick and you can barely get here? We'll take you. God, where are we headed? We're headed to, you know what's going on in Texas with the microchipping. Microchipped, disarmed. I was hoping for a Star Trek future. I think we're going to have a Mad Max future. That really is what's going to happen.
By the way, I went and saw your friend last night, William Shatner, Shatner's World. I've never seen him in person. I know you're friends with him. Very impressive.
Well, you know that he was in my wedding, and he flew in to be part of to helping me when my daughters were born. He's a very dear friend. He's a great man. He's a great man of honor. We don't agree politically, but the Shat abides.
Well, I mean, I like him even more hearing because he went for over 2 hours, even though the thing's only supposed to be an hour and a half, and it was just a real guy. And you realize how much stuff he's done.
Yeah.
All these books, all these records, all these TV shows, all these movies.
Alex.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a great story?
Sure.
I'm with him, and I said, look, all of these actors, you've been around since the 60s, all of these actors, I don't know their names, I know your name. And he held his hand out the window. You know how when you're a kid, how you put your hand out the window to feel, and he kind of does a wave. And I said, I don't know what that means. I said, why do I know your name, but everybody else mostly has been forgotten of your era? And he just puts his hand, he goes, man, peaks and valleys. I said, what does that mean? He goes, you keep walking. When you have a table set with your enemies, you get up and you keep walking. The Bible says to walk through the valley. And that's you, Alex, and me. We keep walking, we keep fighting, and that's why we're around and he's around and guys like that. He really is, he's in his 80s now, and he's just, he's a man's man, and he doesn't believe in laying down. Can I tell another quick story?
You bet.
Okay. He goes through a divorce. He's completely broke. He's doing dinner theater in Kansas City. He is living he can't afford a hotel room. He's doing Tiffany's Attic dinner theater. He is sleeping in the back of his pickup truck. Now think about this. William Shatner, Captain Kirk. This is after Star Trek got canceled. A kid comes up and says, hey, mister, is that three-dimensional inside? Is that a spaceship? He goes, yeah, kid. He's cooking in a Weber grill in a parking lot in Kansas City at a broken-down dinner theater. All right? This kid comes over and says, is that your spaceship? He goes, yeah, whatever, kid. The kid's on a Schwinn bicycle. He goes, well, my dad reads a magazine called Variety, and they said they're looking for you, and Star Trek's coming back in movies. He couldn't afford a hotel room. He couldn't afford a meal. He kept going. And I'm telling you, America's down right now. People may feel down. But all it takes is one call, one break. America needs that call. America needs a break. I need a break. We all need a break right now.
Hold on. You got to do 5 more minutes with us. I want to get your take after the break on how do we get that break? How do we turn the tide? The globalists are scared of that. They're trying to suppress us. How do you see America coming back? We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, these are very perilous times. They're openly talking about executive orders to restrict the Second Amendment. All the globalist state-run media, CNN, MSNBC, and others are talking about, NPR, is be reasonable. Let us register and confiscate your semi-autos, but we don't want your guns. The LA Times, New York Times, you name it. I'm crazy. Alex Jones is crazy because I say they want to confiscate our guns. And we're going to play The Daily Show saying I'm insane, nobody wants my guns. Multiple other shows, Conan O'Brien, you know, nobody wants my guns. I'm crazy. I've just got all the people that are in office saying they want a total gun ban and can play clips of them and have the UN treaty that says they can confiscate all the guns. And even Forbes is an analyst of it, an analysis that says the same thing. But I'm still crazy. They play this game with us. There's no death panels in the health care bill. You're crazy. Now they're like, oh, yeah, it's in there. We're going to restrict your care. Oh, the insurance companies didn't write the health care bill to rip you off and double your premiums and double the overall cost. Oh, now it's in effect. Oh, it does double everything. AP, Reuters, USA Today. And it was painful. I take it personally when con artists do things to me and others. And I sat there yesterday, happened to go to the doctor over a bad chest cold. Hadn't been to the doctor in 3 years or so. And I watched people going, why is everything going up so much? Why is my premium double? Why is the deductible more? Why is the... And they said, it's the new healthcare law, ma'am. And for some reason, it was almost all women. And there was a man saying, look, I can't afford this. I don't have this much money in the bank. Let me talk to the doctor. And they were there begging, and the doctors are like, all right, I'll do it for free. Like they're supposed to with a certain percentage, but people with insurance couldn't afford it now. And, of course, the insurance companies wrote it. And I know I already talked about that last hour. It's just seeing this, I got angry again. It's like the Dave Mustaine song, angry again, angry again. That's normal. It's meant to get me moving to do something. And they want to physically confiscate most of our guns. The bills are introduced, massive ammo taxes, registration to buy ammo. And then I'm there, and Piers Morgan's like, well, nobody wants to take your guns. And I'm like, you're advocating, and you've advocated in the past the abolition of citizen ownership. But I just want the British style, where if you pay huge taxes and register, you can have a gun in a locker at a facility where you can go shoot at targets, and hunting's been outlawed. Well, of course, that's exactly what I want. I was talking to him before the show. I'm like, oh, so that's a Second Amendment. If I jump through 87,000 flaming hoops on a blue moon when the planets align, if I cross my fingers and stand on one leg, then I can go to a shooting range and shoot guns. And that's what they're proposing in Connecticut now. And they're like, settle down, settle down. You're kooky when you get angry. No, that's because anger is what will move America to wake us up out of the trance. Now, I'm going to shut up. It's going to be a jam-packed hour. I got like 10 clips I haven't aired of powerful stuff I want to break down. The latest legislation, world news, economic news. We're going to get to it all. But Eric Muller, known as Mancow, the syndicated radio host, getting to be a good friend of mine. I've known him about 10 years, doing interviews. We've hung out a few times now. I met him in Chicago. He's come down to Austin. And I enjoy doing this show once a week on Wednesdays and Thursdays sometimes. But he joins us. He's done a lot of national TV shows. His TV show now has exploded in Chicago on broadcast TV, about to get picked up nationally. Don't want to have to knock on wood, but very exciting, the success he's having. And I went last night. I've always liked William Shatner. Who doesn't? And so I took my wife to see William Shatner here in Austin at a packed Paramount Theater, great old theater. And I like him even more. I mean, it was like, wow, my wife's like, he says so much of what you say. Well, it's not because we're reading each other's notes. It's common sense life lessons. And Eric was telling stories because they're real good. Yeah, well, but retell the one, because some stations don't carry that segment. Again, he came to your wedding. You're good friends.
Alex.
Go ahead.
Alex, where do you want me to begin?
Well, just finish. Tell us about William Shatner, and then...
Well let me tell you this. I went to visit him on the set of Boston Legal. And have your guys look up right now the name behind Boston Legal. I can't think of the guy's name. He's a commie lib TV guy. And the guy said, that's Mancow. He's not allowed on the set. And Shatner said, Mancow is my friend. How dare you disrespect a friend like that? And Shatner walked off. And security came to get me. And Shatner said, are you serious? And we went as far as we could go legally at the set there. And we stood on the line. And we stood and talked for a couple hours while everybody waited. David E. Kelly. It's a David E. Kelly show. And so Shatner I mean, he was screaming and yelling, "This is my friend. You don't talk to my friend like this." David E. Kelly, because I was on the Fox News channel every day for 7 years. I mean, this is the kind of guy Shatner is. Look, Shatner and I, we don't agree on a lot of stuff politically, but I love the guy. Okay. The other one was he was living in the back of his pickup truck, a little trailer, a shell, and a sleeping bag, and a Weber grill.
This is after his divorce in the 70s.
Star Trek is canceled. The wife waited till Star Trek got canceled. She filed for divorce, got all of that money. He's now going where, in that day, where, actors go to die. He was doing dinner theater around America. He's doing dinner theater at Tiffany's Attic in Kansas City, Missouri. He's cooking on a burnout Weber grill, sleeping in a sleeping bag. A kid comes over on a Schwinn bike and says, "Hey, mister, is that your spaceship? Is it like bigger inside? Is it three-dimensional? Is it an optical illusion? Captain Kirk?" And he goes, yeah. And the kid goes, "Hey, I hear they're going to be doing movies because of Star Wars. They're going to be doing a Star Trek movie." I don't know anything about it. And the kid goes, "Well, my father reads a magazine called Variety, and they say they're making a Star Trek movie, and they're looking for you." And in that moment, his life changed. Of course, those Star Trek movies were huge. I think Shatner's bigger than the Star Trek brand. The guy's so amazing. And, look, the point is America's down. It takes one phone call. It takes one election. Look, this guy's going to be a lame duck. We got another, however many days, not many days. This guy's not going to have much power. I wish that the Tea Party people and some of the others, your friend and mine, Rand, and others would stir these guys up. You talk about getting angry, Alex. Do you want me to stop talking?
No, that's why I'm not interrupting.
You talk about getting angry. I had a politician in yesterday, Bob Fioretti. He's like, the Second Amendment was about muskets. And I just got a text. I believe it's from another radio host named Michael Savage, who's listening to us right now. One of my buddies in radio. Anyway, he sent me this, and he wants me to read this. And it's from George Washington. And it's a free people ought not to be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who would attempt to abuse them, including their government. I mean, this is George Washington. See, this is the thing. They love to twist it. It's not freedom. I don't want to see the Ten Commandments. It's not freedom from religion. It's freedom of religion. These people take this and they mutate it and they twist it and they make it something it isn't. This isn't about muskets and hunting. This is about having equal firepower to them. Okay? And in my city, where 532 have been killed, in the city of Chicago, folks, 532 murders. When the gangbangers come, they don't come one at a time. They come and you need a machine gun to fight back these gangs. Okay? I know because I've seen it. By the way, it's not freedom from the press. Well, there was no radio or TV back when they wrote this, so let's get rid of that. There was no internet. I mean, what is this nonsense? And this is what these politicians say. The Second Amendment was not about muskets, and it's not about hunting. So don't let them suck you into that stupid argument, folks.
I agree with you, and I want to say hi to Michael Savage. Glad he's getting back on radio, and if he ever wants to come on here, talk about his books or whatever. I know he goes on your show, and you guys are friends.
Yeah,
he's absolutely welcome any time to come on the broadcast. Would love to have him on. But I tell you, we're here at this crossroads now, and I agree with you talking about the William Shatner analogy or allegory, because he actually talked about some of that story yesterday in his 2-hour talk, but he didn't tell the part about how he said he was down and out after the divorce, and the kid came over and he said, "Is that really a spaceship?" And he let him go in.
Tell that story?
Yeah, and he said the kid came.
Great.
And he said the kid came in the camper, and then, he said, "Yeah, here's the controls of the spaceship with the knobs." But he didn't tell the story of how his life turned around there. But your point about America, the globalists, the New World Order, they know that they've gotten away with so much, and that people are waking up to them. They are desperate, and we just need to believe we can win and get angry.
Alex,
yes.
Can I tell you something? We don't need to quote George Washington or William Shatner. How about we quote Alex Jones? And I really do think we'll quote you. I think this could be the moment. This is our moment. And I think when they go door to door, and they're talking about in Iowa, going door to door in other places, I think this will be the moment. And you said it. It will be 1776 all over again. I think enough is enough. You talk about at the clinic, well, buddy, not everybody's sick, but every one of your listeners that has a job has looked at their paycheck now. And this is only the beginning. I think the tide is turning. And let's quote 2013 Alex Jones. It's going to be 1776 all over again. If they want to get rid of the checks and balances, if they want to skip the judges, if they want to skip the Congress and everything else, if Obama wants to sign into executive order the destruction of the Second Amendment, it's an impeachable offense. And I don't want anyone hurt. I really don't. I don't want any of this. I really don't. God dang it, I just want to raise my kids and you know, God, guns, and guts.
But these are real authoritarians. I mean, that's the thing. They're not going to stop, and they're waging war against us. The power to tax is the power to destroy, and they're coming after us. And by the way, I'm seeing all these calls for gun confiscations. I know you wouldn't just say that. Iowa's talking about door-to-door now?
Yeah, Iowa, one of the top politicians there. Hey, Alex, on the day of the Sandy Hook massacre, okay, these little kids being killed, on that day, did you see the politicians on CNN saying that Obama, and I quote, Obama, and I'm sure you have the clip, but Obama should exploit this tragedy?
Yeah, I saw them say all over, we need to use this. This is great. Rubbing their hands together. Mancow, thank you.
See ya.
You see, when you come up to a point when corrupt forces are engaged in a revolution against your free country, they're the revolutionaries. Like they call us counter-revolutionaries. The globalists do. In official publications, I mean, we've read the quotes. They're the ones bringing the change in. It's bad change. And they're a mafia using high-tech advertising technologies, brainwashing, to manipulate people. And I'm just using good old-fashioned truth and anger and focus, and none of it is even coordinated. I'm just doing the best I can to wake people up, not even to convince you. This stuff is right there historically. And we've got all the proof. I mean, when they say, we don't want your guns in the LA Times, Alex Jones is crazy. There's an article out today. Alex Jones is a gun nut. He thinks we want their guns. Well, it's not my opinion. And they think you're stupid on The Daily Show when he gets up there and goes, it's not like Hitler's invading. Nobody wants your guns. This is a guy broadcasting, transmitting from a city where no one can own guns but government people. This is a guy in a city where Bloomberg has said he wants to disarm the American people. This is a guy that says hospitals can't give out painkillers. Let me tell you, I had pretty much a compound fracture one time, the bone almost sticking out of my leg. And I was real glad when they jabbed me with that morphine. And Bloomberg's saying, I'm just going to tell the hospitals and doctors what they can do. I'm going to tell you what you can serve, how much Coca-Cola you can buy. I'm going to tell you how big your apartment can be. People are like, man, that's over the top. They're getting you used to it. He's following a program. And then Cuomo says, we're going to sweep across the country. We're going to ban the guns. You don't need those guns for hunting deer. No. Once you can ban those, you can ban them all. And they know that. They follow the same pattern worldwide. They're coming for the guns, ladies and gentlemen. And they're accelerating their program. And we've got to get back in their face. Here's Governor Cuomo 2 days ago in a rally to come get our guns. Now, why is he raising his voice? Why, raising your voice is discrediting. You're supposed to be calm. No, they always raise their voices when they're getting hyped up. See, when they say kill Alex Jones, it's funny. If I said kill them, I'd be arrested. See, because they define everything because they're the bosses. No, you're not. You're a mirage. You're a facade. You're a paper tiger, a fraud, a projection, a hologram, a lie, smoke and mirrors. And I'm sick of it. Wasn't my opinion that the health care plan was going to rip everybody off and set up death panels. The stinking thing said it. It's a copy of what they done in other countries. It's not like we're up here flying blind or something. We know where this thing leads. Authoritarianism. I mean, let's just go to the clip. Here's Cuomo. Here it is.
I know that the issue of gun control is hard. I know it's political.
Look at that monster.
I know it's controversial.
Gangster wants your guns.
We are proposing today common sense measures. And I say to you, forget the extremists.
I am Don
It's
Corleone.
simple. No one hunts with an assault rifle. No one needs 10 bullets
To resist
kill a
Don
deer.
Corleone.
And too many innocent people have died already.
And Bazzini.
And the madness now. Pass safe, reasonable gun control in the state
And
of
Bugsy
New York.
Siegel says
Make
to
this state
take the gun now.
safer.
Safer.
Save lives.
Like Chicago and New
Set
York.
An example for the rest
Highest
of the nation.
crime rates.
Let them look at New York and say, this is what you can do. And this
Look
is
at
what you
New
should
York.
do. This is New York, the progressive capital. You show them how we lead.
Unbelievable. I mean, you've got these guys, Bloomberg, Cuomo, all of them, Nancy Pelosi, just all of them, Michael Moore. Again, they talk to you like you're a 5-year-old. Wayne LaPierre comes out and said what I'd been saying, common sense. Hey, the Israelis arm all their people and school shootings stopped. And the Israeli foreign minister comes out and goes, well, technically, we didn't arm people to stop school shootings. We call it terrorism. And the media went, see, they told you. And they said, Wayne LaPierre lied. I mean, that's the mind games, because they don't call it a mass shooting. They call it terrorism when somebody shoots people. People are like, oh, well, I mean, they play these mind games with people. And wake up out of your trance. But, I mean, why did he get so excited at his State of the Union, his State of the State? With all of his minions in the State House, a mafia, I mean, New York legislature's a famous group of crooks, just like Illinois, and they're like, we're taking over America. We're going to take everybody's guns, and then we're going to raise taxes up to 80%. We're going to gang rape all of Zizzy and noses. What's happening is the gun culture, and even the LA Times admits this, is taking over and winning. In polls, despite them trying to say gun owners are guilty for the dead 20 children, which is incredible exploitation, we're winning. And a lot of leftists and women, in fact, I even saw a CNN story yesterday when I was out. You guys typed the other side of the gun culture. Women, moms with guns, CNN. It was out yesterday. I've already told you this for years. The women are getting into shooting groups. The liberals are shooting and going, wow, this is good to have a gun and feel secure. I have an instant access pistol safe. My kids can't get to it. It's biometric or it's a hand code. And they read locally about women shooting intruders or women who people try to rape out in the parking lot. Women are getting empowered, which I wouldn't call feminism. I would just call being human, defending yourself. The feminists don't want that. They want you dehumanized, defeminized, unmasculated, I guess if that's a word, demasculated, but it's not a masculine trait, defeminized, and then the state is your husband. See, the man gets out of the way and the state is the husband. That's basically what this is. But look at this LA Times article if you're watching on prisonplanet.tv. Alex Jones and other pro-gun paranoids put the nuts in gun nuts. And this article goes on to say that I'm making it up. No one wants to confiscate my guns. Now, I've got Dianne Feinstein. I've got Holder. I've got Obama. I've got Sarah Brady. I've got the quotes and video of all of them saying we want to take guns. There should not be a right to own guns. There is no Second Amendment. Remember, they used to argue that. There's a bunch of articles out saying I'm a nut because I said I know you want our guns, Piers Morgan. Let's just get the debate out in the open. Here's the Daily Caller, but it links through to the local newspapers where he makes the quote, Iowa lawmaker calls for retroactive gun ban, confiscation of semi-automatic weapons. Well, Cuomo called for that in the New York Times 3 weeks ago. Feinstein called for it. Iowa lawmaker calls for retroactive gun ban, confiscation of semi-automatic weapons. In an interview with the Daily Times Herald in Carroll, Iowa, State Rep Dan Muller, I think is how you pronounce it, said governments should start confiscating semi-automatic rifles and other firearms. Down to 22 rifle. We cannot have big guns out here as far as big guns that are out there. The semi-automatics and all of them. That's all of them. Molbauer, am I pronouncing that right? Told the newspaper during a December 19th audio tape interview, we can't have those running around out there. Those are not hunting weapons. See, they say it's always about hunting. That's their fake argument. No, it's about defending against tyranny. We should ban those in Iowa. He then went on to say, we'll go door to door, street by street, and get them. We need to get them off the streets illegally. And even if you have them, I think we need to start taking them. We can't have those out there. And he goes on to describe how to take them door to door. Ladies and gentlemen, now remember, I just showed you the LA Times. You're a radio listener. The headline is Alex Jones and other pro-gun paranoids put the nut in guns. And you read the article, they say not once but twice, we are imagining they want to take our guns. All they want is crazy people not to have them. And I was on Piers Morgan and tried to get to this point but could never get to it because I was going to debate Alan Dershowitz about it, but they panicked and kicked me off. They keep saying, well, shouldn't we be able to stop mentally ill people? Folks, 5 times in the month before he tried to go in gun shops and buy guns. He went to a gun show, too, and they wouldn't sell him a gun because in the NICS system, A, he looked crazy at the gun show, so they're, and I'm not selling my gun to you. Okay? Because that's a private sale. But at the places with the background check, he'd been flagged. He was in psychiatric care. You go in, and they flag you as dangerous, whether it's right or wrong, because they do it for a lot of veterans. I think it's wrong. That's it. You can't buy a gun. He was refused through the NICS system. And what we've got clips of is Biden, the vice president, saying, we don't need to just ban gun shows and private sales, private transfers, period. Well, that's what their bills do. You can never transfer guns, not when you die, anything. Kind of like the death taxes. Can't transfer your money when you die. They're saying can't transfer any guns, period, when you die. You go turn them in. And they want to, and don't say they won't ban guns even though they can't enforce it like the drug war. That's the whole plan is now to pack the prisons with gun owners and have the purges of us. Just like the Attorney General has said, we need to make it like cigarette smoking, a dirty thing. Others have said make it like us being a sex offender. That's why they put your name out in the news when you're a gun owner, when they have you registered. They want to shame you. In fact, that's a quote. He says, we want to shame people into not owning guns. Well, I mean, aren't you ashamed of having all the bodyguards and carrying a gun? You punk? You gangster? You thug who shipped 20,000 guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment? That came out in the CBS News. They got the memos first. I didn't need CBS News to tell me that was done to blame the Second Amendment. I had a DEA source told me about it before it even broke. Sully Castile. On record, go watch the video. He's been in studio. Years before Fast and Furious even broke. Because I'm here in Texas. And now it turns out the ATF was actually shipping in 18-wheelers guns themselves to them. They just, when it started breaking, because they just wouldn't go along with it, they just reported on telling gun shops, go ahead and sell to the illegals, go ahead and sell to the coyotes. They work for us. Oh, we're going to track it. That was their cover. They were shipping 18-wheelers of hand grenades down there. And this all comes out here and there in the news. How are we being lectured by the Fast and Furious crew now? And then they play this game of, oh, we don't want your guns. And then Obama signs a bill giving himself Secret Service and other presidents armed Secret Service protection of upwards of $4 million a year per president for life. Normally, it was only 10 years after. Now it's for life. You can say, well, that's reasonable. Hey, most of us can't afford. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want a bodyguard, people around me all day. Plus, somebody really wants to get you, they can probably get you. A lot of times it turns out to be the bodyguard who they actually approach be the one that kills you. But I mean, I can't afford a really good bodyguard. I'd rather put that money into getting the news out. I mean, man, I'm not going to start living where I've got a bodyguard with me. I might need one just to watch my back now if I go to New York or something where they got goons trying to set us up. Just witnesses, maybe like an entourage or something when I'm in public, you know, just to document things. Because they can set you up when you're alone. But we are going to go ahead now And we are going to play this clip. This is a clip that we're going to go to of Mr. Stewart. And, of course, he's an establishment guy. Stewart's his fake name so that you don't know his brother runs the New York Stock Exchange. And this is a guy who's very funny, very witty. I like him at many levels, but he's a globalist and he's anti-gun. And he's up there broadcasting and transmitting from a city that says you can't own guns unless you're basically government mafia. And he's saying Alex is implying Hitler is going to invade America. No, he thinks his audience is dumb. I'm saying Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and all these others took the guns.
It's something we've seen happen time and time again in history, with Stalin, happened in Cambodia, and then, of course, the Third Reich. No one saw that coming until it was too late.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Holy. And I guess we need the full clip, but it's not 30,000 gun deaths. It's 11,000. Most of them gangbangers or suicide. I've been breaking down the actual numbers. I was saying over 4,000. It looks like it's more like 3,000 are actually people doing the murders or killing people. I mean, that's nothing in 315 million people. Yeah, and when I saw the full clip, he goes on to say they think Hitler is going to invade. Will somebody get me the full clip? Because I wanted to play it a couple of days ago. I never got around to it. I want the full thing. Because the clip I want is where he says they're afraid Hitler's going to invade. No, we're not afraid. It's my fault. I've just got to review every clip we're going to play. Because we've just got so many, they always get mixed up for whatever reason. He goes on to say, and my whole point of playing the clip, that we believe, you can even just play it off YouTube. It doesn't have to turn into a big rocket science deal. We can just find it, get to it, and play the part. He says that we think Hitler's going to invade. No, no, no. We know the same megabanks that funded Hitler, Stalin, and Mao did that. That's what we know. That's what we understand. That's what we're aware of. That's what's going on. And plus he says, we don't want the guns. No one's going to take them. They're talking about confiscating them. The bills are introduced, and he's still up there. And in another clip, he talks about, you know, Biden said nobody's going to take your gun, and nobody is. You can have your Beretta pistol. Well, that's a handgun, not a pistol. It just shows the incredible ignorance. Now, again, we've already played this, but here's a short clip of Conan O'Brien where he is talking about how there was a debate between myself and Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan handled it very calmly. And they put a gun in my hand, animated if you're a radio listener, but you'll hear it shooting. And it's firing, and I'm firing it at him. And the idea is the fact that I'm like, hey, governments have been tyrannical. Our government's clearly getting tyrannical. You're not going to get our guns. And the message is, I'm the dangerous one. And see, that's how domesticated we've gotten. You raise your voice to a foreigner, tyrant, liar, and oh my gosh, some conservatives said, don't get in anybody's face. Don't wake anybody up. No, no, no. That's just how the country was founded. Don't ever get your blood pressure up. Just go to sleep. Be calm. One of the clergy response teams that governments hire to tell folks to turn their guns in and submit to government, they go, just calm down. Do what's required of you. Do whatever the government says. The government's our boss. That's not what freedom's all about. We didn't get all this freedom because our forebears laid down. So this is the type of stuff that we're dealing with as a society and as a culture. And again, this is how they sit there and try to misrepresent everything to everybody. This is how the power structure tries to manipulate the population. And, you know, to go on and finish what Jon Stewart said in the full clip, he said, Hitler's, you know, going to be invading. That's what we think. No, no, we don't think Hitler's invading. We know we live in the worldwide center of a globalist empire that is full spectrum dominance against human populations. The globalists fund all the major radical groups. They fund our government, the other governments. They control the whole show through fiat. They fund the radical Muslims. They put them in charge. They have them menace us. Then they train the military and police to take on gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, constitutionalists. This is what we're dealing with. This is the problem that as a society we face. And They're bringing us into this crisis. They're economically imploding things. They want to make us poor so that we can never rise again against them. This is all their stated plan. But during this period of takeover, they know we're going to get restless. So they're gauging things. They're fine-tuning things. But their main message is you're discredited if you get upset and get involved. And that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're like, look at these kooks. These Tea Party people want lower taxes, and they don't want open borders, and they say health care has got death panels. Man, they're loons. The bill has the death panels. Now they brag they're in there. Look at these kooks. They say we want their guns, but we don't. They're playing psychological gaslighting games. If you don't know the psychological term, gaslighting, you haven't looked it up. And that's just where you sit there and tell somebody, you're not on planet Earth, you're on planet Pop-Tart. They're like, really? I am? Yes, you fell down and hit your head. And some weak-minded people actually buy into it. So they're up there going, yeah, we're going to take your guns, but we're not. Well, you just said you were. Oh, you crazy little man. And then they make the whole debate about whether or not we're going into this level of control. And again, I'm going to do a special report with all these different clips together. The bizarreness of it is I heard a clip yesterday they were playing, and we'll play it later after Joel Skousen pops in, where Howard Stern and Quivers, his co-host, were defending me and saying they agreed with me. Very, very strange to have them agreeing with me, but I guess they understand where the people are and that most people understand that guns make you safer. Especially because society is degenerating. There's going to be a lot of craziness going on. And so we need guns to protect ourselves. Stay with us. Again, the establishment would not be coming after our guns right now unless they were planning a lot of nastiness. Here's the Daily Times Herald. Ban and seize semi-automatic weapons. Boom. Door-to-door confiscation being called for. And by the way, that's in Iowa. It was Arcadia, Iowa, that the U.S. Army did a gun confiscation drill, and it was in the paper. They practiced taking over the gun shop, arresting him in the drill, and then going door to door and taking the guns. And they got all 600, quote, households, estimated, I don't know, 3,000 people or whatever, to let the Army in each house to search for guns. And then I read the article a few years ago on air. It created a national stir, and they had an article the next day saying the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is a liar and a horrible person and caused a panic. But I had the news article where they said they trained for gun confiscation, and then I had the colonel on who admitted it. And that's all in Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. 2 years ago came out, very important film. And you see that film from 2 years ago, all of it's now coming true. Because, I mean, they said they would do it. And that's what's so frustrating about all this, is that this is real, this is happening, and I go and I get in the face of Piers Morgan going, I know you're coming after our guns. Tyrants throughout history have tried to get our guns, and I'm not putting up with you. Is that clear? You're on notice. I mean, do you think George Washington, they talked to the Redcoats like that for years before it happened, before the physical fight. Paul Revere did the exact same thing, and then some. I'm telling you, the average even conservative today, because some conservatives, a lot of them got mad at me, they would probably want to put George Washington in jail, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine, Patrick Henry, all of them. I mean, I bet if I drove with a car with bullhorns on the top of it, if the Army was coming door-to-door confiscating guns, I bet if I drove through the streets of Austin, even in a conservative area, saying, they're coming to confiscate guns, they're coming to confiscate guns, prepare yourselves, that a lot of people would come out and start shooting at me and would be proud when the police showed up and would salute them and say, here's my guns, and I killed Alex Jones. In fact, I know that would happen. If Paul Revere had people like this, so-called conservatives like this, and libertarians in his day and age, in 1775, he would have been riding through the countryside saying, to arms, the Redcoats are coming to confiscate the ball and powder and muskets. Somebody would open their upper window, they'd have slid a long rifle out, and they would have shot him right there on the spot. And then when the Redcoats got there, they would have saluted and handed their gun in. And so that told me a lot about people that, I don't know, 20, 30% of folks got real mad at me and said, how dare you call him a liar? How dare you get in his face? And you know what? Hey, may the chains set lightly upon you. Crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you. Forget that we were your countrymen. Good. You like the way the mainline neocon talk show hosts have been taking you? You like the way you like Mitt Romney as the Republican nominee? You like that? Well, good. May your chains sit lightly upon you. As for all the rest of you, spread the word about the broadcast. Support our local AM and FM affiliates. Buy the high-quality Pro Pure water filters, 10% discount, promo code WATER, and InfoWarsStore.com. InfoWarsStore.com. And buy the T-shirts. This new T-shirt's out and is the best seller ever. Come and take it with the Second Amendment inside the machine gun. You got to see it. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. Your purchase makes the transmission possible. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Joel Skousen's popping in for a couple segments, and then I've got a review of World War Z, which is a bunch of UN world government propaganda we're going to premiere here on air. We'll also post it at Infowars.com. In fact, it's just been posted with the full video at Infowars.com. What they did is they got the video up there just now, so that is certainly good news that is now posted up at Infowars.com. We'll be premiering that on the radio coming up at the bottom of the hour. I said I'd go to calls, and I'll try to do that. There's just so much news to go over here. I've got a couple more news articles out today where people are being attacked in bars, in pharmacies, in businesses, in their homes, and they're defending and shooting the intruders. But it's only ever in the local news. That's why the real media, the citizen media, the alternative media that is diverse, doesn't mean we have all the answers, but we are the real media. We're media, the globalists are fake media. People are always trying to figure out a name. Prostitute media, collaborator media, globalist media, corporatist media, collectivist media, fascist media, traitor media, New World Order media, anti-American media, the cesspool media, the sewer stream media, the Decepticon media. How about just they're the fake media? I mean, that's really what it is. They are the fake media. And, you know, a lot of what they report on is true. A plane crash, a cat stuck in a tree, how many inches of rain fell this week. Most reporters are just doing their job. But when it comes to policy and politics and punditry, it is a bunch of spinning and obfuscation and outright lies. And I, for one, am just absolutely, totally, 110% sick of it all. And we are entering world government. World government is being announced all over the news, but we're told, oh, you're still crazy, it doesn't exist. Oh, yeah, all these states are announcing bills to confiscate all semi-autos. Oh, and there's bills federally introduced to do it. But it's not going to happen. People say, yeah, Alex, we've heard you say that here today. About 150 times. We know. Okay, well, you better get that word out to other people. Because they're trying to tell you to not get angry and not get in their face and not call them liars. They're trying to tell you that discredits you so that you just buy their propaganda and go, oh, that discredits me. I better not do that, because that's what is effective. That's what historically has brought these people down over and over and over again. Oh, man. Again, I've had this chest cold, starting to get over it here. And it's kind of like a fireworks display. It goes in fits and spurts. And that was kind of a grand finale right there. Those antibiotics must just be absolutely killing that stuff, because my chest just lit up on fire. Whew, excruciating pain is kind of, I don't like it, but at the same time, it's kind of an interesting phenomenon. You know, when you're a little kid, pain really, really hurts because you don't know how to cut it off. Just understand, well, that's pain. And then that's over there. And just kind of ignore it. But it's also hard when it's in your chest and you're on the air, so excuse me there. Because come back, we're going to go to Joel Skousen. I want to get his take geopolitically on what all this world government announcement means, why they're pushing so hard to get the guns, what he thinks is going to come out of this, why they seem so confident. And then we'll continue with that World War Z film review here today. And we'll also look at some of the other geopolitical news as well. And I'll be back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on the radio. Pray for the InfoWar. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined for the next 2 segments for a brief interview. Time always goes quick. With Joel Skousen, political scientist by training, specializing in philosophy of law and constitutional theory. Of course, his uncle was Cleon Skousen, who helped expose how the New World Order controls communism. And his book, Strategic Relocation, North American Safe Places, is a bestseller in the Patriot movement, and we sell the 3rd edition discounted with the new film we put together, Strategic Relocation, at InfoWarsStore.com. I should add, if you want to support broadcasting and an absolutely vital book and video together. And, of course, he was also a Marine Corps fighter bomber pilot in Vietnam era, and also he's been the chairman of the Conservative National Committee of Washington, D.C., JoelSkousen.com. He's also the editor of World Affairs Brief, and he joins us. Now, I wanted to get him on last week, but the gun thing happened, so we moved him to talk about Herman von Rompuy and others, and there's video of this, an article saying, let's merge the EU with Russia, which the president of the Czech Republic has said that's been the plan, and that it's communism. The globalists have always talked about creating 3 or 4 blocks and then merging those blocks. But there is factions within those blocks. And I agree with Skousen's power breakdown. But having the communist Chinese come out, official government TV and papers, and say, Obama, you need to wage a war against the Second Amendment. That's a quote. And having Russia Today suddenly flip and say, Alex Jones is bad, turn the guns in, he's a radical. And suddenly have, you know, all these foreign outlets saying we need to get the guns. What does this signify? These state-run media outlets suddenly becoming pro-Obama. Are they worried about a conservative libertarian retake of America? Why do they want a more socialist system here? I wanted to get his, because he does have considerable gravitas on the geopolitical interlockings, to break that down. But here it is. Bilderberg picked EU leader von Rompuy calls for global governance with Russia. That's the New American. Here's innocent blood demands no delay for U.S. gun control. People's Daily out of China. Let's give up on the Constitution. New York Times says get rid of it. They're calling for gun confiscation door to door. Again, they're just conditioning you to this idea. Doesn't mean it's coming next month or next year, but it could be when the nuke goes off from another mass shooting. But I got to say, I've said the time frame's longer. I think it's accelerating for whatever reason because they know our gun culture is winning. Okay, so Joel, we don't have a lot of time, obviously. Condense it down. Let's get first into the geopolitical and what all this signifies, and the UN treaty coming up, and then you wanted to say something about Mr. Hagman and his federal source. And I mean, the fact is, we were followed around and harassed quite a bit in New York. They look like New York detectives to me, not feds. But you wanted to say something about supposed federal sources. Go ahead.
Well, let's cover that first so that we can get that out of the way. But you know, the conservative movement has always been enamored by the fact that we might have one of our own inside government that's feeding us information and warning us about things. Doug Hagman claims that he's got such a source who works in supposedly high level in DHS, and he got involved in your New York appearance with Piers Morgan by saying that you were followed around, and obviously you know that that is true. Heretofore, this particular source from DHS has claimed several things that simply have not come true. Claiming the collapse of the economy in 2012, which didn't come true. And worst of all, he claimed that a big black operation was, quote, going hot, that was going to stop the election and bring Obama in through having no election. And it didn't happen. Hagman confronted him in one of his interviews, and he gave some offhanded excuse. Hagman didn't pursue it. But it should have been pursued because, you know, it really was wrong. What was more disturbing to me, which I covered in today's World Affairs Brief, of his after the fact.
You know, I tell you what, Joel, we had good audio with you in the pre-interview, and I think your computer switches to internal mic when you go on air. I don't know why. We're going to have to go to phone. We'll do video Skype. We're going to do that now. We're not going to have audio like that on air. Sorry, trying to work that out with him. And I don't want to go too far off into this. You wanted to mention it and get into it, and we will. I believe Doug, has this source and believes what he's saying. And I think what Joel's told me off air is that he believes he has it too. It's just that he thinks the guy is bamboozling him. That could be the case. All I know is I've been given Homeland Security documents by state police, by feds, by others that turned out to be national news. Like the clergy response team documents that turned out to be absolutely accurate about training preachers, IntraGuard documents, MIAC report documents, Homeland Security about veterans and gun owners being the #1 terror threat. People could say, well, those guys leaked these to us because they wanted it out there because they're bad guys. I talked to these guys on the phone, some of them. They've just gotten to a point where they don't care. And I know that people like Wayne Madsen have said that they've got whole NSA teams spying on people in government. That's one of their main focus, to make sure these leaks don't happen. But they have a right and a duty to come out with all this. So there is an attempt for this to happen. But I don't think it's impossible to ever have real sources out there who aren't just feeding you something. Because I know I've gotten stuff from real people who are in briefings, get the documents, go to the library, and send me the PDF. And I've had cases where I've had a preacher on with the clergy response team documents, and they get called in at the hospital the next week where they go and do ministry by FEMA threatening them. So, yeah, I mean, what Joel's saying does happen, too. They go after you. But, so certainly they are tracking people. Joel is right. Okay, Joel, please continue. Go ahead.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Alex, is there's no way this guy could keep talking to Doug Hagman out of school, warning them about things, or even revealing what should have been a legal operation of harassing you in New York, which opens up Homeland Security and anyone else for a civil rights violation. He can't keep doing that and claim that they don't know about it. I mean, they surveil everything. And when it's published openly on Infowars.com, certainly we know that the government reads everything you put out. You're the biggest target they have. They're not going to let somebody continue to talk to Hagman and then to you without shutting him down if, in fact, he is on our side. If he's not on our side, if he's playing us, which I think he is, and that curveball he threw about the election was just plain targeting us to get discredited.
Well, they also line up for big things just to see who in the federal government will go along with it and tell people things are going to happen, even though it's not 100%. They kind of take the safety off, but then they don't pull the trigger. They scrap missions, so that happens too. All I know is this. Over and over again, we've found out that in Homeland Security, it's a clique of weird women, to say the least, dominating men, harassing them, and the government's settled. So a lot of it is they're getting so disorganized up there, and so many people don't like what's happening. I mean, I know you've studied this, you've had family in and around FBI, you name it, that you have contacts and you believe they're more organized. I'm not saying you're wrong that he couldn't be being played, but I'm also saying that look at the hookers and the Secret Service, and maybe something's behind that too to compromise them. But I mean, well, you heard my point. What's your take on that?
Well, they're always having to do damage control. Look at the Sandy Hook shooting. I mean, to send Eric Holder up there to have a secret meeting with all the state police, he basically is setting down the law. This is a matter of national security. If you've seen things that don't match the official story, you just shut up about it. He was quieting the opposition. They have to deal with that all the time. But they're also consolidating more and more at the top levels, and there is no dissent at the top levels. Perhaps the only thing that really got out of hand was General Petraeus, and he ended up getting snookered by a Muslim agent from Lebanon and got close to General John Allen as well. And, boy, that was a very embarrassing thing for the military, and Petraeus had to go. He was a big player. They had big plans for him, but he made a mistake. So they do have to do damage control. But I don't believe that they're, losing power. I think they're even more confident.
Oh, no, I agree that they're accelerating their power, but at the same time, just because they're winning the race doesn't mean their NASCAR isn't smoking and having problems. Now, expanding on that, you were just hinting at anomalies. I mean, this wasn't just 5-year-olds saying they saw multiple shooters. This has a lot of really bad signs. So does Colorado. And look at all the timing, and they do seem very arrogant right now about the guns. What do you see happening?
Well, As I pointed out in today's World Affairs Brief, they don't have the votes, in my opinion, to ram through all of the gun control they want. They're going to get what they can, but that's the main reason why they're pushing for an executive order. That's a sheer admission. They've made that play twice now. That's a sheer admission that they don't think they have the votes. And I've looked at the law of what you can do with an executive order, and I want to be very clear. Obama cannot legally include other weapons in Class 3 weapons like machine guns by executive order. He cannot do it. It's not legal. Now, that doesn't mean he can't do it and get away with it if the courts let him. But there's no way that an executive order can actually change law. He can direct federal agencies to implement the law. He can tweak that a little bit, but he can't add weapons.
And just to be clear, level 3 firearms are full auto. You got to go get a background, waive your rights, get a stamp. They are wanting to include the semi-autos in level 3 and just say by executive order, those are all added in. I believe that will cause resistance. If they do that, I'm really concerned. Well, it won't cause the same kind of resistance as if they tried to do something, blatant and confiscate guns. That would really, as you correctly pointed out, that's going to cause a revolution. They're not going to be dumb enough to do that. And besides, you can't do confiscation until you have registration first. So that's the first thing they really want out of this gun ban, is to get a list of expanded banning and then have this new form of registration, which is grandfathered. You can be grandfathered if you agree to register and take your fingerprint. That's right. Exactly. It brings you in to get you on record so they know how to come take it. We're going to come back and talk about that. And then I got to get your take on the geopolitical, but I've also got to go to my breakdown on World War Z that we're going to premiere here on the radio. Stay with us. Joel Skousen, a World Affairs Brief, is our guest. We'll be right back. I'm Alex Jones. All right, look, we're running out of time. I'll have to get Joel back up in the next few weeks for a full hour to get into geopolitical issues in his book and the new film we've put out, Strategic Relocation, available at InfoWarsStore.com. But Joel, just finishing up and condensing it all, they're moving really fast on the guns. I'm seeing a lot of signs of arrogance from them, talk of confiscation. They could want to go ahead and start a conflict here to paint libertarians, conservatives, Christians as radicals. We know Homeland Security was set up for that. I know you think the timeline is longer. I hope that's the case. But they're moving really fast. Finish your point on the guns. Well, it always looks like they're moving fast when they build up a manufactured crisis like the Sandy Hook, and they're trying to take as much advantage as it can. It's going to move the debate about 20 to 30% in a direction, which is very, very dangerous. Still, at the bottom line, I don't believe that there's very many congressmen that get away with, we know what happened to the Democrats in 1996. They lost big because they voted for that assault weapon ban. And if it happens again, I don't know of any Republicans, or very many, that are going to get away with voting. But now there's a lot of election fraud, which can trump that. And they know that there's an awakening happening, so they want to head it off at the pass, I think, with preemptive crises. I mean, I think that's in the cards. Well, I think there's frankly, about a 40 to 60 chance against being able to pass in Congress a major ban. But they're going to go, if that doesn't pass, they are going to go with an executive order, and boy, I just don't believe that Congress has the guts to impeach over the illegal use of an executive order. That's right, and we've got to drive, because they want to make us come to the ATF and re-register, turning a right into a privilege. We've got to move towards Congress to block that. Now, geopolitically, what's happening with all this realignment we see happening? Well, first of all, no major New World Order with Russia is going to happen without war. I'm absolutely convinced of that. What we're seeing in the New American Peace, Bilderberg picked EU leader Van Rompuy, calls for global governance with Russia. This doesn't mean that that's even close to they're floating this as a peace initiative, but there's kind of a double-handed hand here. In other words, the West has continued to play like Russia is an ally, and this is part of furthering that deception that Russia is an ally, in order to feign weakness, to give Russia more confidence that we're stupid, that we're incompetent, that we can infiltrate, and they're openly letting Russia infiltrate the EU and NATO. But it's only to facilitate an eventual Third World War. It's not because they're ever going to get complete global... Sure, they're suckering them in. That's right, they're sucking them in. Now, let me just say, is very important.
the globalists at Bilderberg, or at the Bilderberg conference, this is really kind of a leadership conference where they're bringing along the up-and-coming leaders and exposing them to globalist viewpoints and testing how they react to that. They bring in not only bona fide globalists, but they also bring in people from the Socialist International, which is tied to Moscow. And that's important difference. Now, for example, Tony Blair was a full-blown member of the Socialist International. I believe was a Marxist. Same thing with Javier Solana. And they bring them into to Bilderberg because they want to make the communists who are associated with Socialism feel like we're giving in to them, that that they're snookering us. They're playing soft. They're playing accepting. They're playing blind. So at any given time, we don't really know when they attend Bilderberg, even if they've been a Socialist International, if they've switched sides and become true globalists. Now, I think Tony Blair actually did switch sides. I think he was Marxist, Socialist International, he switched sides and became a full-blown globalist. Barack Obama was Marxist, became a globalist, was bought out, and that's where you can tell.
Sure, they use Marxism to take over, but it's globalist on top. That's exactly from Carol Quigley's own book what they do. In closing, why am I starting to getting attacked by European TV, radio, and British, and especially Russian? Why are the Russians coming after me?
Well, first of all, the Russians are have been playing the game through RT, through EU Times, which is a phony KGB front. They've been facilitating and helping out the conspiracy movement here in the right wing, almost as if they want to foment this civil war between what they view as the right wing and the government. And right now, you are the prime leader of that movement, and that's why Piers Morgan targeted you to go after you and try to discredit you. And that's why the Russians are after you. But there's another side to that, too. There are the free market people out there in Russia, like Stanislav Mishin, which wrote, Americans, don't give up your guns.
No, we talked to him. No, there are a lot of good Russians. That's why we want to stop this globalist Russian-engineered war. Is there any way to stop that?
I don't believe there is. I think it's coming not only because the Russians want it, but the American, Anglo-American establishment, the globalist, as we call them, wants that war. And you can't get to a full integration and loss of American sovereignty without that war.
I tell you what, this is a 14-minute report coming up. We got 3 minutes on the other side. Stay there. I want you to talk about that amazing article in Pravda, of all places, saying Americans don't give up your guns. It really gives a lot of real history. 3 days ago, I saw the article out of Pravda that used to be a complete outlet of disinformation. The joke was, hey, our local paper's as bad as Pravda, which I guess means truth. But more and more, it's like really good analysis, anti-globalist. And there's a guy that calls himself basically a white Russian. That means, he wants to go back to the old Tsar monarchy, which has been the Russian culture for 1,000 years or so. But he says your government and your banks funded the Marxist that came over here in 1917. We were all armed. That's how we beat Napoleon. And that's how we fought Hitler, because all the guns hadn't even been taken by them. People hit them. And it's just a shame that you're run by these people. And to see that in Pravda, because that's what you've exposed, and your uncle Cleon Skousen, that's what Carol Quigley later confirmed, what your uncle had written about, that the mega banks were actually funding authoritarians and communism. In closing, what do you make of the Russians starting to tell the truth like that? What does that signify?
Well, first of all, I was really surprised. The first time I've seen someone out of Russia recognize the role of the globalists in financing communism. And, he said very clearly, if it had not been for for Washington's clandestine support of and for the Reds, history would have gone quite differently. They cut off the arms to the white Russians. They refused to allow any military aid to be sent to them. They sabotaged them. It was just like what they did with Mao. They brought Mao to power by sabotaging, cutting off military aid to Chiang Kai-shek. But what I want to say in conclusion is that there is a major division between those who understand this. One believes that because they have facilitated communism, they own communism, they run it, they control it. And I don't agree with that. I believe they're co-predators vying to control a new world order which they each want to control. The West is going to use war to destroy national sovereignty. So that's why they're building the best enemies that money can buy, as Dr. Stan Monteith says. They built Marxism in China. They gave Russia the first nuclear weaponized uranium in order to build the first bomb.
They helped create Hitler. I mean, a lot of that came out, as you know, in congressional hearings. Well, listen, I want to get you back sometime for a full hour to go over Cleon Skousen's research and your updated research, Joel Skousen, to talk about how they funded Hitler, Anthony Sutton's research that helped Congress, how they funded the communists in China and in Russia, and how they're funding the radical Muslims today, to get your detailed geopolitical breakdown of the past, the present, and the future. Joel Skousen, thank you so much for spending time with us.
My pleasure, Alex. Bye now.
All right, bye-bye. There he goes. Got that update from him. This is from Genesis, some of our new affiliates that are turning the broadcast on. WTNY 790 AM, Watertown, New York. And that is very, very exciting to have that news station. And again, I will plug several more on the Sunday broadcast. We're getting about 2 to 3 new affiliates a week. So there's one today, WTNY 790 AM. And we need to focus also on some of the stations that have already been carrying us. But a lot of new affiliates picking up the broadcast. Praise God. Okay, I want to go to this report on World War Z because it ties into the dehumanization. You know, we see people like Bill Maher saying, kill people, more shootings, more killings, you know, more car wrecks, more death, more abortion on HBO a few months ago. But then he says, ban our guns for the 20 dead kids. The globalists are not liberals. They say they're liberals. They want lower population. And this zombie meme, now being pushed by the Marines and pushed by FEMA and pushed by CDC, is to sell you the general public are ugly zombies. Now, the video of this is extremely powerful if you're a radio listener. But here's the audio, also very powerful for radio listeners. But radio listeners, go to prisonplanet.com, go to Infowars.com. You can see it now. Video, Secrets of World War Z leaked. Here is that report. Then we'll come back with Howard Stern and his co-host saying that they agreed with me on this, Robin Quivers, saying they agree with me on the Second Amendment. Pretty amazing. Here it is. The secrets of World War Z leaked. What is the message behind World War Z? We're going to leak those secrets right now. The core of the book is a UN plan developed to use survivors as bait to lure in the zombies so they can be exterminated. The #1 enemy in this disgusting pro-genocide, anti-human publication is that humans that have not submitted to communism and the United Nations are undesirables that are worse than the zombies. As the globalists prepare the worldwide collapse, they must condition the public that humanity is ugly and needs to be killed. Those of you lucky enough to be behind the compact cities shouldn't complain and should do any Marxist job you're told. After all, only that can defeat the zombies. World War Z is a regurgitation of the same message we've been hammered with our whole lives. The UN is the planet's savior. Humanity is the world's enemy. Only world government will save you from the disgusting zombie filth that is humanity. The globalists have publicly bragged that they engineered World War I and World War II to create the League of Nations and UN and to begin the destruction of the nation state. So if World War I and World War II were wars against the nation state and national sovereignty, World War Z is a psychological warfare simulation declaring war on humanity itself, with humanity as the enemy and the UN as the savior. Let's talk about Brad Pitt, who was in a bidding war with Leonardo DiCaprio over the book World War Z. We've analyzed it, and I can say unequivocally, this is a manifesto of United Nations worldwide genocide against nation states and individuals. It is a declaration of war and a sacrament to planetary bloodlust and the New World Order's wish to reduce world population. In brief synopsis, the book begins with the disintegration of the world's civilizations by an outbreak of zombies, and the world transforming itself under UN leadership as a single international union to save humanity under Marxism and the extermination of all American gun owners. From the book, World War Z. That's when the UN multinational force was created, and we were pleasantly surprised by how many people signed up in the first week. The biggest enemy for this communist UN takeover are domestic secessionists of the United States. The Rebs only welcomed you with gunshots. The brass had special units for Rebs. I saw them on the road once crossing the Black Hills. That was the first time since the Rockies that I ever saw tanks. Bad feeling. You knew how it was going to end. The ultimate crime is owning a gun, not under UN control. Those that submit and turn in their firearms are called Robinson Crusoes and are given a nice job at the forced labor camp. The body armor was for protection against some of the regular people we found. I'm not talking organized rebels, just the odd LMOE, or last man on earth. Some dude or chick that managed to survive. Most of the time we managed to talk them down. Those we called RCs, or Robinson Crusoes. That was the polite term for the ones who were cool. If the UN concludes that you are not a communist socialist, you are used as bait to lure in zombies because you are the #1 enemy. Before you can be used as slave labor, you must submit to re-education camps. They actually call them re-education camps. From the book, this was the National Re-Education Act. I'd say it was the largest jobs training program since the Second World War, and easily the most radical in our history. This is a way to roll out authoritarianism and make it sexy and fun and condition the public that this type of mass murder is okay. This film talks about, man, my dad was smart. He loved Marxism. And now that we've got Marxism under the UN, it's so great. Yeah, we put people in labor camps. Yeah, we put them in re-education camps. He used methods that were almost Marxist, the kind of collectivization that would make Ayn Rand leap from her grave and join the ranks of the living dead. I've always rejected the wisdom he tried to impart, running as far away as Wall Street to shut it out. Now I'm racking my brain to remember it. And if they didn't do what they were told, they were killed. God, there's such a beauty to that. Yeah, I guess if you're a dirtbag psychopath, or somebody worth hundreds of millions of dollars like Brad Pitt, who's married to that angel of death, who's brags she loves death and evil, Angelina Jolie, who travels the world to hype up NATO invasions and Al-Qaeda invasions of free countries, where they line up blacks by the tens of thousands like Libya and kill them, or where they attack Syria for 22+ months and engage in all sorts of evil. And there she is saying, it's humanitarian, kill them, when she's not making an Illuminati Tomb Raider film. After all, they're all just Arab zombies, just like in this movie, trying to get over the Israeli wall. Anyone that's infected with the virus, black vans come around and snatch and grab you and throw you in them to take you away and kill you. So it is pure conditioning for snatch and grab. It is pure operant conditioning and preparation to get the public ready for unbelievable evil. And you're told you will serve the mega-state. You will serve the greater collective of the Supreme UN Soviet, or you will die. Quoting the book, World War Z. The Rebs, on the other hand, armed, organized political secessionists. They were easily our most tangible danger. He would say in private, these must be eliminated swiftly, decisively, and by any means necessary. These were the enemies of our country, the domestic ones. A floating UN command center off the coast of Hawaii, consisting of 72 delegates, controls the fate of the world. Nation states are the problem. The UN's got the answers. I know I caught a lot of flack for going UN instead of making it an all-American crusade, but to be totally honest, I really couldn't give a damn. Throughout history, militaries and cultures have demonized their enemies and said that they're not human. Now the whole of humanity is being taught that we're worthless, that we're garbage, that we're ugly. Part of the UN's Agenda 21 is to teach us that humans are bad for the earth and that the world would be a better place without us, that we are ugly parasites. I covered it in my film, Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, where the elite openly talk about how they're going to set up a police state surveillance control grid worldwide to carry out the orderly extermination of 90% of the world's population, with the United Nations as the prime organizer and NATO as the physical enforcer. And in all these documents, they talk about releasing or allowing the release of weaponized mousepox and other pathogens like airborne Ebola that will take out more than 90% of the people that come in contact with it. And during an event like that, you're going to see civilization-level collapse. And so the ruling class worldwide is setting up seed vaults, underground bunkers, putting trillions of dollars in the aggregate of taxpayer money in Europe and the United States, Australia, New Zealand, other Western countries, into building incredibly resilient, heavily armed, underground shadow government systems. And I said a decade ago, this zombie fascination was being pushed to dehumanize us and get us ready with kind of a racial memory ahead of the fact so that we will accept as prophecy at a subconscious level the mass culling of humanity. Films like World War Z are meant to program people that they're lucky to serve as slaves of the UN and not be exterminated once these bioweapons are released. And the zombie archetype is just a cover to demonize and dehumanize anyone who's even suspected of being infected of bioweapons plagues the globalists are publicly preparing to release on the planet. You see, for the New World Order, world government is just the beginning. Once that panopticon surveillance control grid is in place, the mass extermination begins. Hollywood has more apocalyptic visions planned out for years to come. Steven Spielberg just started shooting Robopocalypse, scheduled to be released in April of 2014. Here, a deadly supercomputer concludes that human beings are too much of a threat to life on Earth. In an attempt to save all non-human life on the planet, Arcos, the supercomputer, decides to eliminate the human race with just a few human specimens to be left alive. Sounds like the eugenicist programmed this computer. This is how they introduce these sick ideas to the population, through fiction. It's the same thing that Hitler did. It's the same thing the Soviets did. It is beyond monstrous. This is undoubtedly a globalist propaganda production. Oh, isn't that cute? The Australian Prime Minister's tongue-in-cheek zombie apocalypse warning. Right as the megabanks shine the world and their peoples on to 1.5 quadrillion, right as they shut off the power plants and cut off the oil. Go look at it for yourself. The CDC and Homeland Security online describes people who get sick during a pandemic as zombies, and they show the U.S. Army in America mowing down American citizens. How would they ever introduce something like that to the public? There'd be a revolt. But if they do it like, hey, get ready for zombies, we're going to have to mow some people down. You better get the vaccine, they say in here, or you're going to get killed by the Army. How would the government ever present the Army and the police mowing people down the street? Oh, they didn't get their flu shot, so they're zombies, and they have to be killed. And then meanwhile, we have all over the United States and in other nations the military training in martial law, civil unrest drills in major cities, and the combatants that don't want to give in to the UN takeover, why, they're not even human, they're zombies. So when the troops practice mowing down U.S. citizens wearing football jerseys, well, they've got some makeup on, some green makeup and some slime, so they weren't really human. So the next time the troops actually pull the trigger on real citizens during the engineered collapse, well, they were zombies anyway. They're teaching people that ancient thing that tyrants and corrupt militaries have done of dehumanizing their enemy before they kill them. The same thing was done by the Soviets in Poland and in Ukraine, where they killed tens of millions. They said these people are animals. The Nazis said the Jews and others weren't human. The communist Chinese said the same thing about the shop owners they forcibly collectivized and put in slave labor camps. You are a fool if you don't understand that the New World Order does not want you to be in the future. They want the planet's resources for themselves. They want the hard work and the scientific developments that free humanity has developed to be their spoils. They want you dead. And people like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are nothing but propagandists selling the population on mass genocide and megadeath. World War Z is a declaration of war against free humanity. I'm Alex Jones. You have been warned, and if you are watching this transmission, remember, you are the resistance. The Secrets of World War Z. See the full video at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Right now, a PrisonPlanet.tv production. And that's the type of special reports you see every evening, 7 o'clock Central at PrisonPlanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com. Time for plugging before I get to this Howard Stern clip today on this Friday edition. If you go to InfoWarsShop.com, you can get Strategic Relocation, the film, Strategic Relocation, the book, both absolutely key, and a new T-shirt that's our best seller ever. It's already outselling the Liberty or Death shirt that was our previous bestseller. And it is an AK-47 with the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, the words making up the AK-47 with a come and take it under it and the white star of Gonzales, Texas. How do you say that in Latin? Mone lebe, or am I pronouncing that wrong? I usually do, because you can read it, but then if you've never pronounced it, come and take it. So the point is that is available at InfoWarsStore.com if you want to go look at it. Your purchase of the T-shirt supports the transmission. We carry the Pro Pure water filtration system that is excellent, that is stainless steel, and it blows the competition away side by side, and it has fluoride filters available that are the best out there. But also if you're on the road, or also if you want something that costs a little bit less, or you want handheld water bottles, I do the research for what my family uses, what we use. And we now have, for you on the road, water bottles that take the fluoride out, and pitchers. So you can just put tap water in them, goes to the pitcher, and then put it in the refrigerator. So that is all available. The clearly filtered drink different system, discounted at InfoWarsStore.com. The new film Agenda, the new come and take it ball caps, the new InfoWars.com Army Ranger style caps. It's all available at InfoWarsStore.com. And I haven't really been plugging it because we sold out of, like, you know, almost all of the magazines, so I haven't been plugging it. I'm told there's like 1,000 left if you want to get the January issue in bulk in groups of 10 up to 100 at cost. You better order right now, because by the end of the day, they will be gone. And then the only way to get the new January 2013, The Year America Dies issue of the magazine is to sign up for the subscription, which is great because that supports the broadcast. And it's $59.95 for 12 issues. That includes the shipping. So more than half the cost of that is the shipping. So help support Print 2.0 and help get a big color magazine. Let me show viewers. If you're a radio listener, you really should go and look at this. I mean, this is color glossy magazine. Our first was newsprint, and it's just got all the hard-hitting articles with graphics and everything else in it. Thomas Jefferson quotes, just all of it. Absolutely tailored to warn people about the facts, to give them the facts for themselves. This is a big 21st century version of the pamphleteers that the founders engaged in to wake people up before 1776. So it is essential. It's got artist profiles in there. It's got my breakdown of what we face in the new year. It's got the really important article, 2013, The Year America Dies. Globalists have conquered governments. Now they want to conquer the people. Goes through all the threats. Be sure and get that as well at InfoWars shop.com or 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. 24 hours a day, we can take your calls, answer your questions, or get your orders, 888-253-3139. The last month under the Second Amendment attack, you notice I'm doing about 1/10 the on-air plugging I used to do, which all radio does, because that's part of financing our operation, especially a news operation, because I've been so focused on the Second Amendment and defending it. I'm busy, saying donate to Gun Owners of America. We're a major platform. We're at the tip of the spear. Go buy books and videos, buy T-shirts, support our sponsors. That's how you finance the show. That's how you get the word out. And support our local AM and FM stations. I don't know what to say about this. I'm not a big Howard Stern listener just because I'm not into, fart noises and sex talk. But he is a smart, talented guy. I mean, sometimes I tune into it on XM, and he's pretty well informed, on some political issues, but I don't like him on some others. But he and Robin Quivers are pretty nice towards me. They play stuff they think's entertaining, but Robin agrees with the Second Amendment here that they just want our guns to enslave us. Pretty amazing. And, of course, Howard acts like he doesn't know who I am. Like 6 years ago, they wanted me on the show. But they said now, but you do Mancow, one of his producers, and we're kind of like at loggerheads. And I said, look, I just get the word out. I'm not a minion of Mancow, not a minion of anybody. I'm just here to get one venue is the same as another. So Howard's like, I think his name's Alex Jones, a radio host. Howard Stern knows full well who I am. Here's the clip.
Piers Morgan is getting the beaten out of him for being on CNN and not getting any ratings, but I thought he did a good show last night. He invited a guy on who wants to deport him from remember there was a report that Piers came out against like gun violence.
Yeah, he doesn't think that he wants more gun control, basically. Yeah.
So he invited the guy on who said they should throw Piers Morgan. We're starting a petition to throw Piers Morgan out of the country.
Right.
So he had the guy on, and the guy was just like crazy. I mean, like, I like this kind of stuff.
He was like a real American.
Yeah, right, listen to this.
Kind of crazy.
Right, listen. This guy this goes for a while, but it's good. It's good. We'll listen to it.
Those men raped that woman in India to death with an iron rod 4 feet long. You can't ban the iron rods. The guns, the iron rods, Pierce, didn't do it. The tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand? London Telegraph. Here, let me give you more.
It's quite a simple question.
Well, that's the oldest.
You're very loud, man.
That's the oldest Perry Mason tactic to ask me some little factoid.
Pretty good, right?
Actually, I'm with the guy who's arguing with Pierre.
Yeah, you're against any kind of gun control. I like that guy.
That is the best.
Yeah.
We're going to be back with the rest.
I think he even has a radio.
Yeah, back it up. We're going to be back with the rest, and I'll be back Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central, Infowars.com. You know that. All right, finishing up here. If you just joined us on this Friday edition, Howard Stern playing clips of me from the reason I'm playing it, it's just interesting that he's not going with the establishment grain and saying that, he likes what I'm doing and that Robin agrees with the Second Amendment. I mean, we should get angry at some foreign usurper who, by the way, has got dead ratings until I came on there, and they're already going back down again since I'm not on there. And he says he wants to debate again, but I've called his producers, and they've not called me back. So he, by the way, had a protest, or Freudian slip. He had a rally for him yesterday that 4 people showed up, and he tweeted it out as a big victory for him. Just unbelievable. Let's go ahead and go back to the Howard Stern clip.
Pretty good, right?
Actually, I'm with the guy who's arguing with Pierre.
Yeah, you're against any kind of gun control. I like that guy.
That is the best.
Yeah. Well, he's some sort of, I think he even has a radio show, the guy. He seems to have some facts and stuff.
Right.
But it's just funny when guys are yelling at Piers.
Piers is calm and the guy's screaming.
Yeah. There's some other clips that are pretty good.
Let's try again. How many gun murders were there?
Oh, you're going to ban your fist now?
In Britain last year.
How many chimpanzees can dance on the head of a pin?
Hey, this guy's good.
I love it.
I don't know if Piers was good, but this guy was good.
No, that guy's great.
But good show, Piers. Piers gets a lot of and I told you I like Piers.
Well, he better thank that guy. They better be on together every night.
Yeah, they should bring that guy back. whatever. His name is Alex Jones.
Okay.
He did start talking to peers in a British accent. You want to hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it goes on from there. Yeah, I mean, I knew that if he got in my face, I was going to get in his face. But I did plan. I told Rob Dew was with me. I said, are you going to blow up at him? I said, no. I'll debate him on facts if he lets me get to my facts. But I would say, okay, our crime rate's down over 20%, violent crime. By the way, that was general violent crime. I was watching Fox News this morning, and I'm going to go dig this out because they were showing FBI.gov, the same place I go. The problem is there's literally hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of pages on there. They've got all the local towns, cities, all the reports, all of it. And it's good government numbers because it's locally gathered. And I'm watching this morning. I bet a lot of you saw it. We got to find that clip and put it on YouTube because it's amazing. And they've got Stromboli on there. What's his real name? Geraldo Rivera. And he's saying, let's just ban the guns, whatever. And they're going, but look at these FBI numbers. Gun crime's down 59%. And they showed the years, and I'm sitting there, and it was the same FBI site, but I hadn't dug into all of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done it again. It's so incredible what the revolution of guns taking over has done. I mean, it is incredible. That's why they're panicking, because if we all get guns and crime rates go down to nothing, then their whole gun grab plan is over. That's why they're trying to get it all right now. So I got to find that. Remind me right when the show ends. I've got to go dig that up because it was just, they were showing it, and I'm like, whoa, I said 20-something%. It's 59 on the guns. 59% drop. Unbelievable. By the way, I'm going from memory here watching Fox News this morning, and it's either 49 or 59. The point is it's not 20-something%. That's violent crime. The gun crime, it's either 49 or 59. We got to do a story on this. I mean, this is incredible. They were showing the FBI website areas I hadn't found. We got to dig that up.